hot air balloon capital of the world, this is live coverage of the 50th anniversary edition of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, powered by ExxonMobil. It's Balloon Fiesta Live. And now, direct from the rooftop studio at Balloon Fiesta Park in Albuquerque, New Mexico, here are your hosts, Glen Moyer and Lloyd Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, those of you here at Balloon Fiesta Park and our viewers around the world, good morning and welcome to day 2 of the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, powered by ExxonMobil. You're watching Balloon Fiesta Live, and I'm Glen Moyer, along with my co-host and partner in crime, Mr. Lloyd Jr. Good morning again, Art.
Good morning, Glenn. Welcome to day 2.
Absolutely. Had a beautiful day yesterday, just Chamber of Commerce weather, perfect flights.
It was.
Fingers crossed we'll have more of that today. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. And you always have to wait for the sun to come up. I mean, there's already people on our stream saying, ooh, what's the weather going to do, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we're still an hour away from sunrise.
Right, exactly.
And when the sun comes up and gets over the Sandia Mountains, then things change.
Yes.
So we have predictions. We have all kinds of what's happening right at the moment. But we really wait until we get closer to launch time to say go, no go, do this, do that, etc.
Yeah, you can worry and fret and go, oh my, oh my, oh my.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, lions, tigers, and bears, who cares? We're here. It's a beautiful morning. We've seen the great drone show already. We've got a Dawn Patrol thing coming up. We've got radio control balloons today.
Right.
We have a mass Ascension. It's a very, very busy morning.
A few special things happening with some flights that we hope to be able to bring to you.
We'll be bringing to folks, right? So it's going to be another great day. And weather, do your darndest, Mother Nature. We'll work with it.
We'll work with it. We'll have fun with it. We're going to kind of go through with that. So actually, the first thing up is Dawn Patrol this morning.
Yes.
And we, I think that we're going to, I'm not sure they're going to stand up early or not. They're still having conversations. Pilot briefing is just getting started over at the Pilot Briefing Tower.
Okay.
And I know the Dawn Patrol guys did get a briefing on the weather for them as well. But I think they're going to be over at Pilot's briefing as we kind of wait and see what's going on here this morning.
Well, and you talked about as the sun comes up, things will change. Things have already changed. I know you and I both get weather updates. I think I got the first one somewhere around 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning.
Exactly.
And then subsequent updates, and already we've seen changes, particularly while the overall direction remains pretty much the same, the surface and lower level patterns have been changing quite a bit.
Already mixing.
As the winds are already mixing, the typical drainage winds coming north out of the canyon, or coming south out of the canyons to the north, mixing with the surface winds. And so already there's a lot of, I don't want to use the term volatility, just a lot of change, and things are mixing. And so we really won't know what we're going to have until the sun comes up and kind of settles things down.
So that's what is happening with the weather here this morning. Again, on the schedule, we hope to get the Dawn Patrol show balloon up. We should have our Krispy Kreme balloons standing up as well. A mass Ascension. We have 650 balloons registered here this year. 120 of them are special shapes. Now, some of those special shapes we won't see until Thursday and Friday for Special Shapes Day.
Yeah, some come only for the Thursday and Friday special shapes, rodeo and glodeos.
But it's only about 20, which means there's 100 of them out here now.
Right, and we've already seen, just yesterday, we saw quite a few, including many of the brand new ones that are making their first visit here to Fiesta. So, yeah, you'll see a lot of special shapes today and see some of the very newest ones as well.
Which would be a good time to mention that Plano Pins over there on Concession Row, Main Street over there.
Right.
Diane Carlson and her team over there have made special for the 50th pins of the 120, actually 107 of the 120 special shapes.
I've known and worked with Diane since the 1980s. Why am I not surprised? That lady is a marketing guru. She could teach marketing to a marketing professor. And she has done the official announcer pins, of course. We started out working with her. I started out working with her decades ago doing my unofficial announcer pins. Very good friend. And now, of course, the family taking over the business, Britt Lee down there in the tent. So yeah, some really amazing special shaped pins that you can buy individually or as sets,
Right.
or even subsets. You were saying
Subsets, yeah. So you can buy any one or a group of the 107. You can buy the entire 107 as a set, or the new special shapes that are here. She has packaged those in a set of pins as well. So you don't even have to say, I want that one, I want that one, I want that one. Just pick the set.
Yeah, just give it to me.
Yeah, and Plano Pins, of course, they work with Balloon Fiesta all year long.
That's right.
To help us with a lot of the different designs, but especially all the pins. So all of the official pins, whether they're the retail ones that you can buy in the official merchandise tent, or the ones like you mentioned, the announcer pin, or if you were to get a launch director pin or a safety pin from those groups.
Balloon Fiesta Live pin.
Yep, not for sale, but available through those particular groups out here. Basically all designed and produced in cooperation with Balloon Fiesta by Plano Pins.
Absolutely. And as you said, you can buy any number of pins down there from the Plano Pin booth. Some you'll have to track down and get personally. For example, the 2 official announcer pins. Art and I have those. Both the 2 of us, as well as all of our staff, all of the production team, have Balloon Fiesta Live pins. So track down if you see one of the camera guys running by you. If you could slow them down, grab them and see if you can trade for a Balloon Fiesta Live pin. So,
or at least a Balloon Fiesta Live trading card.
Or a trading card. That's right. We have those as well.
And all of our balloon pilots have them as well. Balloon Fiesta gives a big stack, actually a couple of boxes at least worth of trading cards to each pilot. So see if you can collect all 600 trading cards.
And those are specifically for the pilots to give to spectators.
Exactly.
They want to give them away. So you're not bothering them. You say, hey, have you got a trading card? Can I have one? That's what they're there for. They're there to give away, especially to the kids as souvenirs. So,
and you don't even have to see the pilot usually to get those. I know our crew, we usually designate a couple of people on the crew. Your job to hand out the cards today.
You're on the crowd line, you're on the throat, you're on the fan, and you're
on the cards.
You're the card guy, or gal, whichever.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course, there is one other pen. I'm going to go ahead and mention this now because we've been promised we'll receive one. The Sky Safari team, Andrew Holly, has brought their special shapes here. That's the penguin, Simbaloo the lion, there's Wes the wolf, the whole flying menagerie from the Longleat event over the Sky Safari at Longleat. Their pin, they've done a special 50th Albuquerque pin, and it's only available at Discover Balloons.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes you have to, if you want that specific pin or this specific pin, like an announcer pin, you got to track us down.
You got to.
Yeah, so do some shopping, but there are some things that are not available universally. So sometimes you have to be a little snoopy-ish. Is that a word? And
Could be.
And find exactly what you're looking for and find out where it is. So yeah.
So Dawn Patrol is not going to fly this morning. They're going to be participating with the rest of our balloons this morning as we get underway when the sun comes up just a little bit, which means you actually do have time to do that snooping and shopping up and down Concession Road. Get that extra breakfast burrito, the Krispy Kreme donut, the Dunkin' Donuts, coffee, all of those great things up and down Main Street. We've talked over the last day. Well, I guess it's only just the last day because it's only day 2, right?
Right. Yeah. Is it only seriously? It's only day 2?
Yeah, day 3 for me.
You did the Coronado thing on Friday,
which was fun. But there, the official merchandise tent is over there as well.
That's what I was going to say. We've talked about pins, but there's all kinds of merchandise commemorating this being the 50th anniversary, and all of that stuff is going to sell out really fast. Some of it probably already has. I haven't even gotten off the tower yet to go over and check out some of the merchandise stands. Going to try and do that this morning after that we fly.
And a number of folks have been checking out our online store as well. We have 2 tents available to the public here on the field. We've actually got 2 other tents, merchandise tents that are in specific groups, like in the Pilot Hospitality, down there in the Gondola Club.
Okay.
And so we've got a couple of those for those particular groups. Our physical gift shop is open. We have temporarily turned off our online store. We just don't have the staff to be able to manage all of that. So the only place to get the merchandise is literally here on the field or our gift shop right down the line.
Well, and Steve just went off a great shot. I was going to point out for the folks that can see the feed down on the big video screen. There he is coming. Thank you, Steve. Great director. Coming right back to us. There's a great shot of our rooftop studio.
There we are.
Formerly, if you
see, look, you can see me waving.
Yeah, if you open up the program and read the article that you did, very nice, by the way,
Thank
about
you.
The field announcing and the now Balloon Fiesta Live. This used to be known as the super secret announce tower.
Yes, it was.
And we had that threat that we would have to kill you if we told you. We could tell you where it was, but then we'd have to kill you.
Right, yeah.
Because when we first started, when Tom Rutherford and I first started working from this location, the FAA was very concerned that the balloons launching out of rows A and B might not get enough altitude, potentially could crash into the building. So they very reluctantly allowed Mr. Rutherford and myself to be here as the field announcers, which I always found interesting because that sort of told me that, Tommy and I were expendable. They didn't care if the balloons crashed and hurt us. They just didn't want anybody else up here getting hurt.
Yeah.
But now it's the not so secret. We now refer to it, of course, as our rooftop studio, and that was a great shot of it. We're down here by Sponsor Hospitality with the museum in the background, and really the best seat in the house.
I think so, and we see those red and white pylons in the corners. There's one in the left side of the shot there. Speaking of the altitude here, the idea is that pilots need to be at 75 feet when they're coming in right over the field here at the level of the field. So the idea is they got to get to the height of that pylon, and we're below that, obviously, but that was the concern.
Right, yeah.
And still is. They still have those conversations, I know.
And that comes into play more beginning tomorrow and into the week as we do the competition events where the pilots are flying into the field. And once they're in the target zone, then they are allowed by federal regulation to drop right down to the deck if they want. But as they cross over the target, into the target zone, along the edge of the spectator area, they need to be at least 75 feet. And the top of those red and white pylons is 75 feet. So if a pilot's flying in, he can look to any corner of the field, and if his basket, if he's below that, then he knows he's probably going to get called to the tower the next morning if the officials see him, because you have to be at 75 feet until you're inside the scoring zone, and then you can drop down.
There you go.
So those are there as a visual aid primarily for our pilots to keep everyone safe.
Remember the years that we put a balloon on a string?
Yes.
Up at the 75, and then, of course, the wind would
blow.
blow
and it would be down about 30 feet. Yeah. Yeah.
That's why we've gone to the pylons.
Yeah. We've learned a lot in 50 years of doing this.
Great visual, yeah. Yep, that we definitely have. Look at all the trucks out there and all the people. It's going to be a great day. There's still people coming in. Looks like there's still trucks coming in from the north end.
Yeah, it looks like it. I have to give a shout out.
They're late for pilots briefing because it started 12 minutes ago.
Well, that's true. Quick shout out to the folks who run our shuttle service. My cousins Patty and Steve are here from Dallas, Fort Worth, and I had a chance to visit with them quickly this morning at breakfast, and they were really, really complimentary. They said there were hundreds of people in line before of them, but they were on a bus in a matter of minutes, got straight here, and really had some nice things to say about the shuttle bus service. So
the park and ride.
Kudos to the park and ride folks.
Good deal.
Doing a good job this morning, apparently. Yeah.
That's always good to hear. We literally bring thousands of people in on buses.
Oh, I know.
I think we run nearly 200 buses from 3 different locations around the city.
Yeah.
And if you were going to partake of park and ride on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, because it doesn't run Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because we use school buses.
That's right.
And school is in session.
School is in session.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so we need them there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Although the kids would argue that, you can have the buses.
Yeah, they would, yeah.
We'll just ride them to Fiesta.
Yeah.
I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
Or when they get on the bus. Okay, not to school, but off to Fiesta.
Let's go to Fiesta instead. Yeah. You know that the kids enjoy that. And that's part of what the trading cards are for. Really, they're designed by and large to give something a souvenir to the kids, but a lot of adults collect them as well. You can also check out our team member Kim Vesley did an amazing job on a whopper of a program this
Isn't that
year.
something?
It's at least double, maybe 2 to 3 times the size of the normal program.
280 pages.
And it weighs a couple of pounds. I put one in my backpack, and it was like, whoa, who put all this heavy stuff in here? I could feel the weight of the program. But one of the great things to do with that, if you get one, when you have the opportunity, you wouldn't do it in the dark now. Later in the day when the sun is up, though, or especially the afternoons when we're getting set for the glow, and the pilots are out on the field before we get all the inflations going. That's a great time to wander from kind of basket to basket. There's a whole section in the program of individual photos of all the balloons.
Right.
And you can go around and track down the pilots at their baskets and ask them if they'd sign it for you. Makes for a nice souvenir. I've got a whole collection of Fiesta programs dating back to 1990, which was my first year here on the microphone. It was my third Fiesta. I was here in '84 as a spectator, and again in '89 when I started as editor at Balloon Life, came out for the event that year. That's when I met Marge Ruppenthal, and the next year was asked to join Tommy Rutherford and came up onto the tower that was behind the stage, the main stage.
Right.
It was really
basically a little piece of scaffolding.
Yeah, it was a rather rickety scaffolding. In fact, I can recall one year when the Russian-built balloon, the Yellow Submarine, was here, and one of the bands was a Beatle tribute band. Oh. And after the glow, the Beatle tribute band was playing, and every official at Balloon Fiesta was on our scaffolding, the announce tower, and dancing and shucking and jiving, and the whole tower was wobbling back and forth. It was like, oh my God, we're all going to die listening to Beatles music.
There's a great shot of the park and ride operation.
Oh yeah, look at
through.
that! Look at all the buses coming and going.
Just a steady stream. They make 2 or 3 round trips to those places, so we've I think got that working pretty well, and good to hear the report this morning. Yeah,
it was. I was glad to hear that because I was concerned that I did mention to my cousins. I said, when you get here, if you're going to ride the shuttle bus, get on an early bus. The worst thing you can do is go late and be caught in traffic. And that's always been my big nightmare, was that I couldn't get to the field. I'd rather come and park backstage and take a second nap in my car than be stuck out in traffic going, help, I'm trying to get to the field.
I just saw a comment from one of our viewers here who must be doing that, sitting in the car in the parking lot, thanking us for the wind report, the weather report, because they're still in their car wondering whether it's time to get out of the car yet or not.
Well, the nice thing about doing Balloon Fiesta Live, which we've been doing for a few years now, is that, you can sit in your car and with your phone or your iPad or your tablet, whatever, and you can watch the show even if you're stuck in traffic. In fact, I mentioned last night, my friend Terry Dillard and his wife Debbie from Florida were driving in, and when they got to the sign that everyone posts on social media that says "Welcome to New Mexico," they were
both
able to
in and out of town.
In and out. That's right.
Yeah.
They were able to get a signal there and literally watched our show as they drove the rest of the way into Albuquerque for coming to Fiesta. So that's the great thing about Balloon Fiesta. If you are stuck in traffic, you can still catch our program on whatever your mobile device you might have.
You were talking about how many years you've been here. I was counting it up. This is Balloon Fiesta number 40 for me.
Well, then you're actually ahead of me, because technically it's my 33rd year as an announcer here.
Yeah.
But it's my 35th Fiesta overall.
So back in 1982, I was working a local radio station, and well, let's just be blunt. I got fired, which isn't a bad thing to do when you're in a radio. It means you're doing something right.
And that's not an unusual thing in the radio business either, because you and I both worked in that medium, and we've both been there.
And that was on the Friday before Balloon Fiesta that year. And on Thursday, I had met the president of the board of directors at the time, John Davis, and the balloon maestrin, Charlotte Kinney. And so met them on Thursday, did an interview with them. Friday, parted ways with the radio station. I came out here Friday afternoon and I said, where can you use some help? Because I wasn't going to look for a job during Balloon Fiesta.
Right.
And so they put me to work in the media committee, and I've been here ever since.
There you go.
Have done a number of things.
Now, not only are you the executive producer of Balloon Fiesta Live, which happened after you. We actually, when Tom Rutherford retired, he's recognized, as you said in your article, as really the first official voice of Balloon Fiesta.
Exactly.
Then I joined him in 1990, and then Tom retired some years ago it was our 25th year together. And he stepped away, and we kind of did some on-the-job interviews. Yeah, because you came up and worked with me. Kim Vesely did a few sessions with me. A longtime radio personality here, Larry Aarons, came up, and you got the gig. And then, of course, you brought your talents from the television industry in and the new technology to create Balloon Fiesta Live.
Right.
And that resulted in now you're actually on staff with Balloon Fiesta in a part-time position, I believe, right?
Yes. Well, my wife would argue that it's part-time.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I can relate.
Yeah.
Trust me.
This is one of those that it's definitely those other duties as required or necessary,
Right.
or somehow I get volunteered to do.
Yeah, or it's
so
like,
I do lots of different things.
It's like,
yeah.
let Mikey do it. I know. We've got Art. We'll go get him and have him do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we'll get Artie to do it. Yeah.
Believe me, I see the same thing happen in my role as editor of Ballooning Magazine.
Of course.
My contract says it is a part-time job.
Right.
But as I was telling the board when we had our meeting here on Thursday, it's not like I could say, okay, well, my office hours are from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And then after
or
that,
Monday, Wednesday,
or
Friday.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever. Don't bother me. Well, it's a 24-hour gig because I get phone calls at all hours of the day, and yet, technically it's a part-time job because I do have a lot of downtime and the freedom to work my own schedule.
Which is great, and I love
Yeah.
that. I love that about this particular position as well.
I do as well. Well, it allows me to do things like this. I can travel the country as I have for the last 35 years now internationally, announcing balloon rallies, separate from my work on the magazine. So a lot of times having one of those part-time / full-time gigs is not a bad deal.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
So we just saw a shot of the yellow flag up. That just basically
Yes.
means we're on hold here. We were talking about the wind forecast. We haven't gotten the latest pieball reading. That's the little helium balloon that they send up and track it so that they can see what's going on, different directions, different speeds, different altitudes, etc. The last one I think we saw was about 4:45 or so. They will be sending up, they probably send another one up closer to 5:15, 5:30. And, of course, as we mentioned, pilots briefing going on over there, and they'll let loose yet another pieball so that the pilots can see that. The concern that we saw, and we have nothing official, was that a little bit off the ground, was a little bit fast. But as we said earlier, the sun will change things, and we're still planning and hoping for a great morning this morning. Above those fast winds, things were slow and actually out to the west and northwest. So my unofficial position is that we will have a nice flight this morning.
Yeah.
I'll predict that.
I was just looking at the at our Facebook feed and some of the comments there. Nancy Holly says, good morning from the AIVF Landowner Relations team. Well, good morning, folks.
Good morning.
Some of the staff watching us. Ray Todd is checking in this morning. Deborah Day over in the UK. Good morning. Wish we were there to enjoy. Wish you were here as well, Deborah. Deborah and her partner Mike are actually in the process of planning. They have been for a couple of years now, delayed by the pandemic, but they're hoping to do a transatlantic flight. Her co-pilot Mike is legally blind, and he'll be the co-pilot. She will be, if she flies it, when and if they do the flight and it's successful, I think she becomes the first female pilot to be pilot in command on a transatlantic flight.
Oh, that'll be cool.
So, so I've met Mike and Deborah over in the UK, and they're great folks, and I'm wishing them well on their flight planning. They've got the balloon. I mean, everything's pretty much in readiness. They've been waiting on weather, and then, of course, the pandemic interrupted international travel, including balloon flights across the Atlantic, if you could imagine that. But, it's good to have Deborah watching this morning.
I'm just kind of checking over. Oh, let's see. They're still talking about some people are still talking about last night. Yep, there we go. And some extra information in there about if you are driving your car here, that parking is $20 and cash only if you do bring your car in to try and drive in. And so there is that opportunity as well.
Sorry, I'm having a chat with our director down in the trailer because I'm hearing some extraneous audio in my
bonus
my
audio.
headphones. Bonus audio.
Bonus audio. I heard you on that one, Steve.
Yeah, I heard you on that one too, Steve. So we're getting we're hearing our director in our ears some of the time when we shouldn't probably. There are sometimes when he says things about us that he doesn't want us to hear, but we know. I'm only kidding. No.
Anne-Marie in Fort Wayne, Indiana, checking in. And let's see. If the wind speed,
there's somebody checking in from the Netherlands, and it's not Ina van der Kratz, who is our all-the-time viewer and friend. This is, oops, I just lost it. Wootner, Kurt, I think it says. Wouter, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. My apologies.
So we are just waiting the clock out here this morning, waiting for the sun to come up over the Sandia Mountains.
Oh, I was going to say there's a yellow flag on the screen, but I'm looking at a delayed feed.
Yeah, that was the New Mexico flag.
Yeah, but I was going to say that's the New Mexico flag. It's not our yellow flag, although somewhat similar, I guess.
Well, it is our yellow flag.
Well,
if R is the state of New Mexico.
If we're talking about the state of New Mexico, I meant it's not Fiesta's yellow flag is what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Good morning, Stephen Tyler says. Larry Jessica, good morning. Trying to see where some of our folks are that are viewing from Berwyn, Illinois. Wouter Kurt says, gave me a thumbs up on the name pronunciation. So if I massacred it, I apologize, and he's okay with it. So that's good to know. Ortonville, Michigan, another check-in from Michigan, and Balloon, Missouri. So yeah, we usually have people checking in from all over the country, and
all over the world.
All over the world too. Yeah.
And then some people get here late, like Serato 168 just got here. Just got online.
I just heard that, Steve, but that's fine.
So, yep. Hey, good day from Australia, State College, Pennsylvania. Yep, Tampa. Hey, hope things are good down there in Tampa. Yeah.
You know, I don't want to get into it, I guess, online, but we talk about, people with your name, air name, real name, et cetera.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine from home just said, "Good morning, Glart." So we are now, as a couple, we are now Glart.
Oh, there you go. Hey, there's New York, Ottawa, Kansas.
Kentucky saying hello this morning, as is a lot of folks down in Florida checking in.
Yeah.
Eric Gordon, our Hurricane Ian was the 5th strongest ever in the nation. That's true, and left a lot of destruction, including some of our ballooning friends who lost property there. Dan Drogi watching, saying hello. Dan was here earlier this week. Have you gone home now, Dan? Are you back in Longview, or are you watching from your hotel room, having a lie-in this morning?
Brittany's checking in from Walla Walla, Washington, and Jason from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Jimmy's down in El Paso. Says good morning to Albuquerque.
There's Kansas, Coon Valley. I'm not sure where that is. Sevilla, Spain.
Maybe they know Amber, because Amber's checking in from Topeka.
Okay. Boston, Massachusetts. Oh, Dan Drogi is here at the field watching us. Come on, Dan.
All right.
Come on, man. Little Rock, Arkansas checking in.
Another from Ohio. Good morning from Virginia to all their ballooning buddies from Wayne McFarland.
North Carolina says good morning. Just Oklahoma. I haven't kept track of how many. Atlanta, Georgia.
I have Poland and Italy and Lincoln, Rhode Island.
Deborah Green is saying hello from Lake Havasu, although she's next door in the RV park.
Oh.
Which reminds me, we were talking last night about, folks in the RV park can watch us online. They can also check us out on, TV channel 28?
28, yeah.
We have our very own low-powered TV station. So if you have trouble with enough Wi-Fi bandwidth or whatever to get an internet signal, you can, if you're within close range of Balloon Fiesta Park, check it out on channel 28.
So Glendale, Arizona wants to know, why don't we just start at 5:45 so we can show the drone show in the morning?
Hey, my wake-up call is at 3 o'clock already. Let's not talk about starting earlier, folks. Otherwise, we would just kind of pitch a tent and sleep behind the backdrop here.
Yeah, we could. Well, and in reality, it was a brand new.
That's true.
Brand new. Literally, we were still putting final touches on it Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things that we need to kind of play things out a little bit and kind of go from there. But, that does bring up the fact that we have recorded it. And since we're kind of waiting for things to happen here.
We don't normally replay it in the morning, but
we're
kind of filling in.
We probably shouldn't. Because we have to take it off the. Here's the other real reason we don't replay those things very often is because we are not only live on the feed and the stream everywhere, we're also live on the PA here.
Right. People here at Balloon Fiesta Park are listening. And when we start talking about, oh,
Yeah.
look at this, look at that. People are looking up in the sky
And they
going,
go, where is it?
I
Where
don't
is
see
it?
a darn thing. What's
Yeah.
happening?
So, so we probably, let's not.
Yeah, okay.
Let's not do that.
Okay.
Let's not do that.
But
If
it's a great show if you haven't seen it. If you want to see it and haven't, you can go back into the archives online of our show last night and watch it, or you can tune in tonight because it will take place on each of the evening events,
Yes.
which was last night, tonight. We take Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights off, and then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday coming up.
And at some point towards the end of the week, we'll post the drone show by itself.
Yeah, okay.
In the same links there.
Hey,
so.
there's some folks that we should probably talk a few minutes about. Those are lovingly referred to as zebras or zebras, depending on where you are in the world, in their black and white uniforms. And they are the folks, many times these are local balloon pilots to the Albuquerque area who generously decide that they are not going to fly and take a pilot slot in the event,
right,
but they are going to work in service of pilots from around the world who come here specifically for this event. And we deck them out in those black and white referee suits, although
they embellish them.
Yes, there are certain embellishments. It's not just your standard black and white referee shirt anymore. That's how it all started. You talked in the drone show that all of this started thanks to Sid Cutter, which is very true. It was Sid's idea back in the 1970s, 73 or 4, I think. When was the first World Championship?
First Worlds were
73?
in 73.
Okay. And his idea for identifying launch directors was to make them stand out from the crowd. He'd put them all in referee shirts, black and white stripes. And so we actually have continued that tradition, and they have taken some poetic license, I think, sometimes with their outfits, but they are in black and white, and they are our launch officials. No one can launch off Balloon Fiesta Park without an approval from a launch director.
A thumbs up.
And I think our intrepid field reporter, Ruth Lind, has one of the zebras with her right now. Ruth, where are you?
I do. I'm down here by the bounce balloon with Kat, and she is a zebra. And we've been talking about her amazing costume. If we can show them the skirt, the pack, the whole thing, this is phenomenal. How many years have you been a zebra, Kat?
I've been a zebra for 15 years now, so.
And why? I mean, what drew you into doing this job?
So my dad is actually a zebra as well. My mom is assistant chief scoring. It's truly a family event. And the zebras I've been hanging out with since I was 4 or 5. So this is my family for 9 days out of the year. I love it.
As it is for so many of us. Now, the wig, the ears, the whole look. How much time during the year do you spend on putting this costume together?
It's constantly a work in progress. For the 50th this year, I wanted to make sure I was a little extra. So I started this back in probably July, which is also when we start our training. So yeah, it's truly a year-round thing for us to make sure we're ready to go on day one.
I'm glad you brought up the training because your job is critical for safety on this field. So tell us a little bit about what that training involves.
So we do meetings, like I said, starting in July of every year, and we have a ZIT program for our zebras in training, and that's a 2-year program where they wear red hats. They don't launch their first year. They follow a very tenured zebra, and then the next year we ease them into launching on their own before we become full-fledged grown zebras. So.
And the things you are looking for on the field?
Safety is our number one priority here. We provide a safe, coordinated launch, and we need to make sure that it's safe for balloonists up in the air, on the ground, as well as all of our spectators.
And I see that you're wearing a headset. Who are you talking to and listening to?
We have section chiefs that give us the information from the tower down, and that helps us know about timing for balloon of the day, when we can start launching other balloons in our rows, and how the launch is progressing since we can't see the full picture from our little spot on the field.
Well, thank you so much. The service that you provide to this Balloon Fiesta is beyond measure. So thank you so much, Kat.
Thank you.
Back to you up on the stage, Art and Glenn.
Thanks, Ruth. Thanks, Kat.
Yeah, I'm glad it was Kat who brought up the term zit.
Yeah.
I was going to go there, but I thought it's a little early in the morning. But yeah, zit is the, we call our launch directors zebras or zebras, and zit is the term that we use for a zebra or zebra in training. It's not a derogatory term by any means. They're a great group of people. Although, Kat, that was the wrong answer. When Ruth says, you're wearing a headset, what are you listening to? The correct answer is, well, Balloon Fiesta Live, of course. Though, no, we know she is listening to the safety folks, and that's critical. Hey,
they put a whole lot of steps on going up and down this field as they work their rows or their columns back and forth, because they'll check in with the pilot before anything happens. They'll usually come back through and check with you about the time you're getting cold inflated, come back for the thumbs up and the launch. And then, of course, remember on mass ascensions, it's 2 waves, so they get to do it a whole other time. So that's about 6 times up and down the field each morning. Yeah, they also help with, with traffic. They make the pilot aware of any balloons that are overhead that they need to be aware of as they're launching, and work with crowd control, too. Trying to, to make sure that the pilot has a clear path to get the balloon launched when that time comes. So when you're out there, if you're hearing whistles blow, that's the
those
time.
Those are launch directors.
Yeah, those are launch directors.
Exactly.
Look for where that whistle's coming from and follow their directions to make sure you clear that path.
We talked a lot last night and previously about how our audience usually fills in the blanks for us, when sometimes we draw a blank. Well, Donna Allwood has said good morning from Bristol over in the UK. We had a chance to visit at Sky Safari in Longleat. She mentioned, and I knew this, just forgot it, yesterday when we saw the alien balloon for the first time, Lee Hooper.
Yes.
The alien is actually named Astro the Alien. But you'll recall, I was trying to come up with, I said there was
some big old long benevolent title.
There was an even greater, longer title. And Lee Hooper, of course, just to prove that the pilots do listen to us, texted me last night and says, while he appreciated our ad libs, Astro the Alien is also known as His Glorious Divine Benevolence, the Leader. So get that mouthful out at some point in time. But just
you can see why he put the alien in his application, and because he didn't want to have to type all that out. We also probably didn't give him enough character space to put it in.
Probably not. Yeah, I'm not sure you could even fit that.
That or someone on our end shortened it.
Yeah, I'm not sure you could even fit that onto a tweet. There's only 40 characters. So, but he did actually, after having the balloon built, they actually had a contest to name it, and so Astro, which was also the name of the Jetsons' dog, if I remember.
That's right, it was. Yeah,
Astro. Ruh-roh. Anyway. So when you see the alien this week, you'll know that his name is Astro, or the benevolent so-and-so and such, whatever. But it's a brand new balloon, which, by the way, is from a brand new balloon manufacturer, and that's Diamond Balloons, which is a brand new manufacturing arm of exclusive ballooning over in the UK, which, once again, is our good friend Andrew Hawley. And they're building balloons mostly for their clients.
Okay.
Exclusive Ballooning is a large company that operates a number of corporate hot air balloons, and so they're not trying to get into the business of building balloons to compete with Lindstrand or Tarphead or Cameron or Kubitschek or any of the Ultramagic, et cetera. They're trying to be able to fill a niche for their particular customers, their particular corporate clients, and so Astro is one of their very, very first new balloons with Lee Hooper, and hopefully we'll see the alien at some point today, and if not today, then certainly this week for the special shape shows.
So I'm looking at that shot that we have on our screen and on our video walls right now. That appears to be the Rainbow Riders ride balloons, all laid out, stretched out there. You can see all the fabric stretched out, ready to go there. All the people around those balloons waiting for that to happen. I just heard from our chief launch official that technically we are on a hold even for our Krispy Kreme balloons to stand up this morning.
Okay.
And so we may be just a little bit delayed in getting things going this morning. So we'll continue to monitor that radio traffic and get the updates as we work through the morning. As you can start to see, the sky is starting to lighten up. There's a number of clouds up there, which in and itself is not necessarily a bad thing for ballooning, but it will, because they're over the mountains, it will take it a little longer for the sun to get here.
It'll delay the sun getting up and being able to break through those clouds and heat the field, which is part of what helps to usually stabilize the winds. Yeah, and that's, some of that is probably left over from, we had rain showers in the area last night.
Yeah, you can start to see it there.
Yeah, there are going to be showers moving through the state over the next few days, and some of that is probably residual. I know about midnight I woke up to the sound of what sounded like somebody was, dropping a bag of BBs on my hotel, and it turned out it was.
And you're on the ground floor.
I'm on the ground floor, I am, and it was, raindrops falling, though it never rained hard,
No.
So.
And Albuquerque is one of these places where it can be raining on one side of the street and not
the
on
other.
the other.
Yeah.
A lot of times we'll joke about it rains by zip code here.
Yeah. Well, I know when I got into town earlier this week on, I think it was Wednesday afternoon, and I got a weather alert saying, rain starting in 15 minutes in Albuquerque. Well, not at my hotel. It didn't rain. So, yeah, it just because there's rain in the forecast doesn't mean it has an impact on Balloon Fiesta Park. It's just something we do have to be, we have to pay attention to, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get wet here.
Right. So this would be a great time to just mention some of our great sponsors that help us put this entire event together.
I'm sure we have a list of those somewhere, don't we?
We do, and while I pull it up,
okay,
Ruth has managed to catch up with some more folks down there on the field. So let's hear from Ruth.
Good morning, you guys. I'm sure that many of you have seen that beautiful poem that's published in the Balloon Fiesta program. I have with me today Christy, who is Kelly's mom, and Kelly and her friend Chelsea used to come to Balloon Fiesta all the time. They came twice last year, and Chelsea wrote this wonderful poem. Unfortunately, they are no longer with us, and our wonderful pilot, Judy Nakamura, is going to be carrying their memorial ribbons in the memorial flight. But we'd love to know a little bit more about their experiences here at Fiesta. Also, Christy's daughter-in-law, Hayden, is with us today, too.
Well, they just loved to come. They would drive all the way from Phoenix on a Friday to get here and get up early morning, Saturday and Sunday, and attend, and then also attend the balloon glows. And they would collect the pins and as many cards as they could get. Last year they got a picture with Steve Stucker, the one with all the pens, and they just loved it. And last year they brought 16 college students with them, and we just had a blast.
Now, you were telling me earlier they brought 16 college students with them, and tell us all about the housing accommodations you had for them.
Well, we kind of had a lot of people sleeping on the floor, especially the boys, and they kind of came in shifts because some couldn't get off work, and so some couldn't get here till Saturday afternoon. But we just ate a lot of Dion's pizza and ate breakfast burritos out at the Balloon Fiesta. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. A special memory for those girls. And they bought a llama and took a picture with it. The one that they have out here, little stuffed llama.
Oh, my goodness. Now, Hayden, how many times have you come to Balloon Fiesta?
Oh, gosh, I want to say about 4 times, one with Kelly, of course. So just her running around everywhere trying to get pictures with all the balloons. I was like, I'm tired.
It's a very early morning. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
And it's an honor. So we're very privileged that Judy asked us to fill out memorial ribbons for the girls. And Kelly and Chelsea would be thrilled.
That's wonderful. And anyone who hasn't, please go look at that poem. It's beautiful. Glenn and Art, we'll send it back upstairs to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth, and thanks to both of those ladies for being here this morning and for sharing that poem with us that is in the official Fiesta program. If you haven't gotten one yet, I would encourage you to pick up a copy. They're being sold at various locations down on Main Street in our merchandise tents, probably, I would think. Yep. So
that's where you would find them.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you have to remember to turn your mic on.
Yeah, I do.
Look, if the little red light isn't on, you're not going to, nobody's going to hear you.
I'm just talking to myself here.
All right, well, sometimes that's a good thing. But
the ladies mentioned the memorial ribbons here, reminding me that this first Sunday is the day that our pilots do fly a white ribbon, banner, a little streamer, if you will, from their baskets, and ask their crew and other folks to take a moment to remember those who are no longer with us. and put those names on those streamers, and then they are flown from the basket. So if we are able to get our balloons up flying this morning, we'll see a number of those banners. And then they typically stay with the balloon all week.
And if I remember correctly, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I believe we began that what's now become a tradition on the first Sunday of Balloon Fiesta. I think we began that to honor the memory of Cindy Petrin, who was a member of the great ballooning family, the Petrins, Johnny and Paul and Becky and so many others of their family, Andy. Cindy was one of our official photographers. She was a photographer extraordinaire in the sport of ballooning, and did amazing work for me at Ballooning Magazine, was a great friend. And I think that first year they were purple streamers because that was Cindy's favorite color. And then it evolved into, through the efforts of our event director, Sam Parks, and others, into this tradition now where every pilot on the first Sunday is encouraged to take one of those streamers and write the names on there of any loved ones lost or people you would like to remember. I remember I think the first or second year we did that, Sam actually came up here on the tower to explain to me what was going on and brought a streamer for me, and I was able to put my dad's name and a couple of friends' names on there, and Sam managed to get that flown for me. So yeah, look for those streamers this morning when we get the balloons up. It's one of those many great little traditions that we've developed through the 50 years here at Balloon Fiesta.
And, you know, we continue to honor Cindy and her memory with the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta Cindy Petrin Memorial Photo Contest.
Yes.
And so there are all the details on balloonfiesta.com. Under this year's event, just go down to Photos and Photo Contest, and you can check out the rules and all those types of things. 6 categories: Kids at Balloon Fiesta, the Dawn Patrol Balloon Glow, Mass Ascension, Special Shape Rodeo, Afterglow Fireworks. And we added a new category this year called Digital Art. So with the advent of having the ability to literally create your own digital creations these days, or take the start of a photo and
what we call Photoshop, that's become a generic term now.
It has, like Coke and Kleenex and all those types of things. To really Photoshop it up, now there is a category for folks that do that. The other 5 categories, we're really looking for the photo.
Original photo files.
Right, and we don't mind that you tweak the exposure a little bit and some color correction, things like that. That's all fine.
Right.
But if you start doing a lot of Photoshopping, then you'd want to submit it in the digital arts category.
Okay.
And so you do need to submit it online. There is an entry fee and some other rules here. You have to take it at Balloon Fiesta this year. And then there are some prizes, with the grand prize winner receiving $1,000. And then in the categories, first prize is $500.
Outstanding. And I can probably tell you, almost promise you, that a photo of the announcers will not get you any prizes.
Probably not. No, but, you know.
As we've often said, we both have faces for radio. So, so don't waste your
take the picture and send it to us, but probably not submit. Don't submit that one to the contest.
Don't waste the gigabytes sending that into a contest.
The other thing about the photos that get submitted to the contest here is we take a look at those and see if they might be a great fit for the official balloon calendar.
Oh,
and
right.
So you could have your picture in the calendar as well. We usually grab pictures from our official photographers who are out here, but we do take a look at those from the contest as well, which gives me the opportunity to talk. Well, there's the statue of Sid. I got to talk. There it is, right there. Yep.
Our crack camera crew.
Yep.
That is that of course is the statue honoring Sid Cutter, our founder, and he is dressed to the nines, as they would say, for the 50th. With the top hat. Now that 50 sign in his hand, isn't that new?
That was there the other day too.
Was it there? Okay,
yeah.
I missed that the other day then. And he's wearing the 50th shirt.
Yep, celebrate the 50, the top hat, as you said, and the 50. And I think it says something like Go 50 or happy anniversary. I've forgotten exactly what it says up there. But, yep. So back to the calendar here. The calendar, and I need to say this because what's been happening lately is people start looking for the calendar in like November, and last year, we were sold out of this year's calendars in November.
Now, when you say this year's,
So-
you mean for the coming year?
Yeah,
You're already selling the 2023 calendar.
we are, and we started selling them in mid-July.
Okay.
And we still have a number of them left, but a year ago at this time, the 22 calendar sold out 2 months before we got to the end of the current year. So if you're one of these that waits till the last month to get your calendar for the next year, don't do that. And our calendars are really pretty unique in that on each of the full-page pictures, so the cover, the inside cover, and then all 12 months, there are videos embedded in that calendar. So you would just take your phone and put the PixAction app on it, point it at that, and there is now a video that comes to life with each one of those 14 different pictures inside the calendar. So the 2023 calendar has somewhere on the order of about 35 minutes of video embedded. The 22 calendar, which we're obviously 10 months into using, had more than 50 minutes of video embedded in it. So a great addition to getting the calendar. Those are available the same places that you would get the programs.
Which is, of course, the merchandise tent. So we have those at both ends of the field, so you don't have to make that mile-long trek down Main Street, although we encourage you to do that if you want to do some shopping. But we do have merchandise tents at both ends, the north and south end of Main Street, so that you can pick up all of the official Fiesta merchandise, calendars, etc., programs, and all of the 50th pins and the apparel and all that stuff.
Speaking of our online merchandise and ways to get that, one of the best ways to know when new merchandise comes out is an email, a weekly email that comes out called What's Up Wednesday. Obviously, it comes out on Wednesday. And that's where we literally introduce new products throughout the year. And new products start coming in usually in the June time frame. So if you're watching those, people in June had an opportunity to get in, and when the posters were released in July and the calendars in July, people were able to start picking that stuff earlier.
Yeah, I noticed a friend of mine commented on our Facebook page that when I posted on my Facebook page yesterday some pictures of the article you did about the field announcers and Balloon Fiesta Live, she said, oh, thank goodness, she had ordered her program back in the summertime when it was first introduced online, and she was just waiting to receive it. But she knew that she has one coming, so she's going to be able to read that article. We've got Ruth Lynn
Tip your mailman, because that thing, as you said, it's just under 2 pounds.
Yeah, your mail carrier is going to be wore out the day that he starts delivering those. Our, again, intrepid field reporter Ruth Lynn is back down on the field, and this time she has a rather special pilot with us who's always fun to talk with. I think she has Judy Nakamura. So, Ruth, where are you, and how are you and Judy this morning?
I'm sorry, you guys, you just broke up. Okay, we are down here with Governor Lou Hungerson and Judy Nakamura. The governor will be flying with Judy this morning, hopefully if we get the go-ahead. And today is our memorial flight. Governor, I understand you have a memorial ribbon that you'll be flying today.
I do. How nice of you to ask. Something that the Justice and I have in common, caregiving and looking out for our families. And I lost my mom in April, and this is going to be her memorial flight for me.
Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss, but what a wonderful way to pay tribute to her. Judy, you have flown some other memorial ribbons over the years.
Absolutely, I have. I fly my dad's memorial ribbon every year. We're going to be doing that again today, and my brother-in-law, who we lost a few years ago as well. And, of course, Miss Engels.
Yes, and you're also going to be flying the State of New Mexico balloon this morning.
Well, I'm flying Fiesta Gold, the balloon that was built to celebrate our 50th anniversary with the New Mexico state flag, obviously, with the governor. That's the flag I chose to fly today.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful. Governor, I will let you go ahead and tie your ribbons on, and if you don't mind, we're going to let our viewing audience watch that as well.
Oh, that would be terrific, and I just want to thank everyone who's visiting New Mexico for this incredible event. We are very proud of not just our pilots and incredible New Mexicans that have been supporting this event for 50 years, but it's a place for us to showcase so many wonderful things about this beautiful state.
It is. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks,
And
Ruth.
While they are doing that, we are watching the governor write her mom's name on the memorial ribbon, and they are going to be tying those onto the basket. And the governor's mom and Kelly and Chelsea will be flying with Judy this morning. These memorial ribbons are always so very moving for all of us who have lost people. And it's quite symbolic, and it's a wonderful tradition that we're able to do here at Fiesta.
Where do I put it on? Right there. Does it matter how long it is? Nope. It'll clear the ground.
And Christy is going to join us to tie Kelly and Chelsea's ribbons. Thank you all. We're going to send it back up to the stage to Glen and Art.
Thanks, Ruth. That process that we just saw here on the live feed and on the video walls being repeated at many of our balloons today. Actually saw Scott Appleman in the background. He still had his ribbon around his neck.
Scott had his around his neck, yeah.
And so that'll be happening as the pilots continue to prepare for what we hope will be a launch here in just a little bit. We are still sitting in a holding pattern. The winds a few hundred feet off the ground are just a little bit quick. And the way that happens is as the day progresses, the winds at altitude tend to come down to the ground. And so those fast winds would come down while we might be able to launch in this. You get in the fast winds, and then those come down. And then, of course, now you're trying to land in that. And it actually, as I look off, now that we have a little bit of light, as I look off to the west, it's still pretty dark and gray over there. So that may be some of the concern as well.
Yeah, I think so. I was noticing the same thing looking back over our shoulders. It's still kind of dark and gray there with some layers of cloud. We do see some blue sky breaking out above the Sandias. As the sky lightens, we still don't have any sun yet, although I can just make out a little tinge of pink. If you look over the top of the Sandias and this cloud base that's closest to us, there's a little tinge of pink on the bottoms of the clouds, indicating that the sun is beginning to make its way up. And I think I'm hoping that we will see some significant change in the weather once the sun does get up and gets to play in the mix of what's happening with Mother Nature. So we're still watching that, but as a result, we are still under a yellow flag and
there's
on
pink.
hold. There's the pink that I was just mentioning. Again, our crack production team always on top of things here. And so that does give us, of course, while we're on hold here, the opportunity to chat and visit with some folks that normally we might not be able to, might not have the time to have an extensive conversation. A large part of what we're doing here this year is honoring the very first Balloon Fiesta, and that was that gathering of 13 balloons at Coronado Center, the reenactment that you did on Friday morning. In many cases, there only, I think, are 4 of the original 13 pilots who are still surviving.
Yes.
Those who are not still with us, we do have representatives of their families with us in many cases. We've talked about yesterday in most cases, replicas of their original balloons, the fact that they're on that balloon that Judy Nakamura is going to be flying this morning. And so it's really been kind of a big, huge family reunion going on here at Balloon Fiesta Park as we bring all of these people together and we reflect on all of our years together. Are we okay on doing this now?
We are.
You are, okay.
We are.
I didn't want to interrupt things happening down at the main stage.
Nope.
So joining us, one of the families that is very well represented. They have a monstrosity of an entourage here, I think, and that is the family of the late Matt Whitaker, who is a great friend of mine. His lovely wife, Bobby, their daughters are here with us, and they've come up and joined us here on the rooftop studio. First of all, ladies, good morning. Welcome to Balloon Fiesta. How is it? Bobby, you've been here for years and years and years and years, but how is it to be here this year for the 50th? What are you feeling here this weekend?
Well, he was always an adventuresome some, and we had just moved to St. Paul, Minnesota at the time. Oh, the 50th? It's fantastic.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
So you go ahead the 50th. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's great.
So I think you were going to start to tell us about how it is that you and Matt came here for that first Fiesta. Tell us a little bit about that. What's the story about how you ended up being part of the original 13?
Well, Sid Cutter had called us and said they're going to have this celebration. And he said, could you also tell us, first he called Raven Industries, and Raven says, call Matt Whitaker because he's been doing the St. Paul Winter Carnival Balloon Race.
Right.
So they called us, and Matt gave Sid a few names, but Sid found many other names in addition to that. And so the first race in St. Paul, we had just moved to St. Paul, and Matt saw something in the paper, so he said, oh, we'll go over to the park. So we went over there, and he was so excited about it. And we drove away, and he said, I've got to do that someday.
So that was the first hot air balloon race ever held in.
Oh,
so that was
right.
the first hot air balloon
right.
race ever held in the world, 1962 at the St. Paul Winter Carnival.
St. Paul Winter Carnival,
so that's
absolutely.
What got him inspired.
And so you've got your two daughters here with me, and I know Donna, and forgive me, I've forgotten Denise, thank you. And ballooning has been and is a family affair. It wasn't just Matt who was piloting. Both Donna and Denise are pilots, and the two of you have set some world records as well. Tell me a little about how it became such a family affair for everyone.
Well, Matt was always a good dad, and I think somehow.
A good girl dad.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we always joke that he did things with us that he would have done with sons. It didn't matter, and so we always called him a good girl dad. But we always did things as a family. We skied together, went on little local ski trips, if you can call Wisconsin a ski trip from Minnesota. But it was just, we just grew up, at first not being old enough to help and playing with our friends in the field till it was time to get in the car to chase, to being part of the crew, and then eventually being old enough to drive and chasing. And then when I started you couldn't solo till you were 16. Donna could solo at 14, years later when that came by. So I know that in my logbook, my first official lesson to be recorded was when I was 12. So when I was 15 when I flew with him in the Albuquerque race here. So I couldn't remember much of it, but we were watching at the Balloon Museum some of it, and there was an interview with my dad, and he said that I flew a lot of it. Of course, I'm sure he was directing. There was probably a lot of arguing. Yeah, we took third place. So
I was gonna. Can we get that story about third place? Because I've
it
had
was
Mom.
great.
Yeah.
So it was back then. Obviously, I was hearing the
Hare and Hound that we now call Roadrunner Coyote. Yep.
Yeah, the Coyote Roadrunner. It used to be the Hare and Hound everywhere else. But when we landed, there were only 2 balloons left in the air, but we were in first place. And so that's where the box was discovered, and Wilma Picard came in and beat us, so we thought, well, for sure, we've got second place made.
Right.
And out of 13, that was really good. And but then Don, did the box and came in and beat us both, so we ended up third, which I thought was still really pretty good.
Yeah, that's still a nice medal to hang around your neck.
Exactly.
Third place at the first Balloon Fiesta. You can't argue with that. Yeah. I have to say thank you to Donna because I walked into the museum Friday afternoon to go to the FAI Hall of Fame ceremony, and your whole entourage. How many people did you bring down here, Donna?
We have 23 people that have come in from all over the country to celebrate Dad, to celebrate the 50th. And we are so grateful for all the crews in Albuquerque that have taken care of us over the years. And Paul Smith and the entire team has just welcomed our entourage with loving arms, and we're so grateful.
Well, and it is an entourage because, as I say, I had just walked into the museum, and your entourage were there, and you were about to take a picture under the 50 logo they have there, and Donna says, "Oh, Glenn, hey, come on, get in the picture," and suddenly I'm sitting there, why am I in this group? And,
Glenn, you are foundational to ballooning history, so don't ask why you shouldn't be in that picture.
Well, thank you, that's very kind. But it was wonderful because then Bobby walked up, I had a chance to talk with her, and then I turned around and Jewel Cutter was in the photograph with her, and
Indeed.
Jimmy Rutherford, my longtime partner Tom's brother, was there with us, so it was a great photo, and one of your entourage was kind enough to use my camera to take a picture for me, and she was worried she didn't do a good job. I've checked the photo and it's great, and
Excellent.
I love it. So that's already a very special memory
Excellent.
for me from being here at Balloon Fiesta, and so thank you for inviting me to be a part of that photograph.
It's
It means
a
lot to
joy,
me.
and you are, as we said, just foundational to keeping the story alive and connecting back to the history. So thanks for all you do, too.
Well, thank you. You don't need to say that, but I appreciate it. So what are you going to be doing? Are you here for the entire week? Anything special coming up?
We're here Wednesday to Wednesday, so we
Okay.
had the joy, Denise and Larry Nicolay, our chief pilot, is flying Dad's Montgolfier balloon that Dave and Sue Johnson created. It's hand-painted, and so Sue crafted it. Sue crafted it, is an inlaid material, and Dave painted it. So H4, come see that balloon in person because it's spectacular. So Dave and Sue are here. Larry is our chief pilot, and so we've had a joy of recreating on Friday. Denise and Larry flew, and yesterday, what a great mass ascension. We'll see what happens today.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for taking time to come up and visit with us. Bobby, it's great to see you as always. We all miss Matt. He was a great friend, but it's great to see the family carrying on the ballooning tradition, and thanks for being a part of our history. It's lovely to have you.
It was wonderful. And the people have been always great from day one. Yeah, and we had I can't think, what was his name?
George.
Jim George. He was our crew, and he was our first crew when we were here. It was unbelievable.
He let Dad and Denny Floden keep the gondola in his garage so that the heat could stay, so the tanks could stay warm.
Stay warm,
so
yeah.
Right.
Just one of the many beautiful people of Albuquerque.
Outstanding. Well, enjoy the rest of your time here at the 50th. Make reservations wherever you're going. With an entourage that large, you're going to need them.
El Pinto treated us beautifully.
Well,
Outstanding.
I might also add, for the last 20 years, we've been staying with the Andersons at their house, and it's been great.
So really missing Patty this year, especially.
Yes.
Yeah, ballooning
Yes.
is all about family. I'm lucky to have a couple of my cousins are here this morning as well, enjoying Fiesta. I hope we get balloons in the sky for them to see. But, we all really are, and that's what I said earlier, this is like one big family reunion this year.
Our cousins-
And it is every year as we all come together here at Fiesta.
Our cousins Barbara and Ray have been here with Mom and Dad for 23 years, so big shout out to them.
Outstanding. Well, thank you all for coming up.
Thank
Denise,
you.
good to see you again.
Thank
Bobby,
you.
as always, and Donna, thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Have a great time for the rest of Fiesta here, and keep up the flying traditions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming up.
Thank
Good
you.
seeing you all.
Bye-bye, guys.
The Whitaker family, one of the original
One of the true pioneering
Yeah,
families of the
yeah.
sport of ballooning, absolutely.
As we heard, flying for almost 10 years before we ever got our first balloon fiesta group together, which was 50 years ago. So,
Yeah, the Winter
great
Carnival.
to check with them.
The St. Paul Winter Carnival, first hot air balloon event ever. And Matt taught so many people. I mean, Matt's impact on the sport is just immeasurable. He taught so many people to fly. He flew and sold a number of balloons as a dealer. Just an incredible impact, and great to see that it continues. It continued through his daughters, Donna and Denise, and just one of the great pioneering families in the sport of ballooning.
So we're seeing a balloon on our camera and our screen. While we have 650 balloons registered here at Balloon Fiesta, and we are on a weather hold for winds that are a little bit fast at altitude, as you can see, that balloon is way off in the distance over on the west side. I recognize that as one of the unofficial ride balloons way over there on the other side of town. And so that kind of gives me some hope that we might be able to get balloons up. But of course, it's always easier to put one balloon up and get it up and down safely as opposed to 600.
Yeah.
And on that side of town, there are much more wide open spaces where you can land. Remember, you're moving at the speed of the wind, so you may drag a little ways. On this side of town, the landing spaces are much, much, much smaller and less plentiful. So much more difficult to fly on this side of town when it comes to landing.
Well, and the other thing that you have to take into consideration, I'm sure you've done it. I've been balloon meister at an event or two in my time. The balloon meister is essentially the person upon whose shoulders the final go, no-go decision is made. And as you say, as an individual pilot, you can make the decision perhaps the conditions are okay for you to fly based on your personal experience. As a balloon meister, especially when you've got 600-odd balloons to get into the sky, you can't say, well, most of my pilots can handle this. The wind is such that it's not going to be a problem for them. You really have to look at the event from the eyes of your least experienced pilot. Is it safe to put that pilot in the air?
Right.
You can't say, well, I know I've got guys like Scotty Appleman who can fly in anything just about and have the experience to do so. There's that consideration that our officials have to look at the wide range of experience of pilots that we have here as opposed to one single individual deciding, okay, I'm going to go fly. The other thing is that we operate under an FAA waiver here, and there are certain guidelines that are established in that waiver that we have to meet, and that includes various wind speeds at different altitudes where an individual pilot flying privately is free to go out and do whatever the heck he or she feels they are capable and safe doing. Here, we have a certain number of set regulations that we have to be within, parameters that we have to operate within. And so just because one balloon's flying out on the West Mesa doesn't mean that conditions are perfect and everybody should be in the sky. So we have to keep that in mind. So we continue to be on a weather hold. We can, now that the sky is light enough and we can see some sunlight, there is actually some yellow sunlight up there. I can clearly see the yellow flag down on the back just about main stage in the middle of Main Street there. So we're still on a bit of a weather hold. And while we're doing that, again, it gives us an opportunity to chat with some folks that are here. Ruth Lind has found a dear friend of mine. We talked a lot about family. This is another great family in ballooning. She is with Sherry Edwards-White. So Ruth, take it away.
Yes, I am here with Sherry this morning. Sherry, we are so happy to have you with us as a gas pilot, as a hot air pilot, as a dear friend. I, as you know, am working in the Gas Balloon Command Center this year, so let's talk gas a little bit first. We didn't fly last night. How did you feel about that decision?
It was a good decision. Anybody in Albuquerque could have seen all the thunderstorms that developed, the wind. Had we set the balloons up and inflated at 2 o'clock, we would have had to pull them down just a couple of hours and we would have lost the race. So good decision.
It was a very good decision, and hopefully things will improve enough tonight that we can launch. What's your plan for the race this year?
Oh, that's good. Our plan is to fly far, always, fly safe. We don't like to fly in weather, so we plan a flight strategically so that we can get the best distance. We're prepared to fly 2 to 3 nights, and we have food and water, everything on board ready to go. We just need clear weather.
We do need clear weather. Now, I know things have been confusing with Ian and then another system to the north of us. I know you and Mark have your own meteorologists that you're working with. Are you looking at specific strategies for this race?
Right now, we're just looking for a weather window where we can launch. As we wait, the winds will start clocking a little bit. Yesterday, they were going up towards Colorado and the Rockies where that storm was. Today, they're going a little bit more to the east, towards Kansas area. In a few days, they'll be going towards Texas. So I might fly home to Austin.
Well, there you go. Now, before I let you go, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Today is the Memorial Flight Day, and this year all of ballooning, but especially you, had a loss, so you'll be flying a ribbon this morning. Tell us about Sam.
Sam Edwards was my dad, and we started ballooning back in the 70s. He started a club, one of the first balloonists in Texas, and he was really good, very competitive. He competed in 26 U.S. national championships, 3 world championships. He taught both myself and my sister to fly. My mother had to drive the chase because her whole family was in the air. He always was one of those Nick Somm that if God had made the sky pink, then women could fly. But of course, he was very proud of both my sister and I flying. And he was just a loving father. He passed in August this year at 86 years old. He and my mom, Jean, had been married 64 years, and they'd been out here several times. He used to fly Touchstone Energy for me, my cooperative program. So today we're honoring Dad with our white ribbon, and as well as a few other balloonists, Kong, and some of the other friends that we've lost this past year.
These memorial flights are so meaningful, and I'm glad that we can do this for Sam. Sherry, thank you for joining us this morning. All the best in the gas flight. We'll be rooting for you, and thank you. Have a good flight today.
Thank you. Have a great day, Albuquerque.
Back to you, Glenn and Art.
Thanks, Ruth, and hi, Sherry. Good to see you as always. She and her mom and dad, Sam and Jean, have been great friends for any number of years. I actually first met Sam and Jean back in, it would have been 1976, because the city of Houston, where they are from, had a big event for the bicentennial that year. And I went over that year. I was a television reporter out of Beaumont, Texas, about 80 miles to the east, my hometown, and went over to do a story about this balloon rally. I'd never been to a balloon festival before. Met a gentleman named Bill Murtaugh, who also was a great friend.
And one of the original 13
One of the original 13 here. And it was too windy on that day. Oddly enough, it was too windy on that day, so they weren't doing media rides. I was trying to get a flight as a media member. So they weren't doing media rides, but Bill was kind enough to invite me back and said, on another time, we'll be happy to take you for a flight. So a couple of months later, I went back and did a flight with Bill in a balloon called Bilbo's Bag. For those of you that are, Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien fans, The Lord of the Rings, Bilbo being the Hobbit, of course. We flew a balloon called Bilbo's Bag. And Sam that day flew a brand new balloon. They had just bought it. It was a Picard. It was a green, white, and red, kind of a peppermint striped balloon. And I pressed Sam for years to try and find the entry in his logbook of that flight, because I was trying to remember the exact date. And we never were able to find it through all the years. But that shared experience kind of is what introduced me to Sam and Jean, and later, of course, Sherry, and kind of became the bonding moment around which we formed a great friendship in the sport of ballooning for all those years. Terribly sad to lose Sam. But best of luck to Sherry and the gas flight. She, of course, flies gas with Mark Sullivan. And they were disappointed, sadly, in the recent Gordon Bennett. They were there as part of one of the U.S. teams, but had some sort of an equipment issue upon inflation and made the decision not to fly. So I'm sure that she and Mark are really anxious to get going in the America's Challenge race. So best of luck, Sherry, and my thoughts, as always, to you and your mom and your family.
And again, we are having an America's Challenge briefing at noon today, where they will make a decision whether we're going to be able to launch out of here tonight. So stay tuned to Balloon Fiesta social media, and we'll update that later on this afternoon. Before we go there to Ruth and another pilot who's involved with the Gordon Bennett and is helping us out here as well, I'm just checking our wind detector. This is a wind radar system that we are lucky to have here in Albuquerque, and it's usually out at the Double Eagle Airport over on the west side. But for Balloon Fiesta, we actually bring it to the park, and so it's in the northwest corner of the park out here this morning, as it is all week. And I'm looking at that, and just 200 feet off the ground, it's already 9 knots. 400 feet, it's 12. At 600 feet, it's almost 14. 800 feet, it's 13. Then it finally starting to slow down. At 1,000 feet above the ground, it's down to 11 knots, and then it drops to 9 knots at 1,200. So you can see it's that layer within the first 800 feet that is basically at the waiver limit you were talking about a few minutes ago. So that's what we're concerned about, and waiting for that to kind of go away.
Hopefully,
hopefully
it will mix out as the sun comes up.
And
some
all
of those
things,
slower winds above will drop down. It'll begin to mix like you would mix things in a mixing bowl, and it generally calms everything down.
Well, at 1,800 feet, it's only 1 knot.
Well, there you are.
So that's the slower winds up there. At 1,600, it's 4. At 1,400, it's 6. So when we get up 15, 16, 2,000 feet above the ground, it slows down. So as you said, that hopefully will mix down here and slow down those double-digit winds we're seeing just a couple hundred feet off the ground.
But as I was saying, the lone balloon flying out on the Western Mesa, he's not restricted by a waiver that says at certain altitudes the wind speed can't be more than this.
You're right.
He can go ahead and fly in that, whereas here we can't, because we have this agreement with the FAA that says we will only fly if at certain altitudes the winds are at certain levels. And right now we're right on the border of that.
We're right on there.
But that is promising that as the sun comes up, we will see a mixing of the winds, and hopefully things will calm and we'll get today's flight off.
And that's why we put it on hold versus canceling.
Absolutely.
All right.
Plus, it gives us time to sit up here and talk about all kinds of things.
All kinds of things. Sure. Anyway, Ruth is out there and continuing to talk more about gas and hot air with another special guest. Ruth?
I have 2 special guests this time. I'm so excited. First of all, I have Marc Andre, who is the Vice President of the CIA. That's the Comité International Aérostatique, which is the ballooning arm of the FAI. Marc is working closely with us on the trackers for the America's Challenge this year. And I also have Tomas Hora, who is the balloon meister, in essence, the launch boss for the gas balloons tonight. So, Marc, you've been to Albuquerque before.
Yeah, it's my 3rd visit, but the first time I'm here for the full week.
For the full week. Tell us a little bit about your perspective on the FAI Hall of Fame induction the other night when Carol Davis and Vincent Lays were inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it was my first time also seeing this induction, and it was really nice. I think the ceremony was nice. Of course, having her inducted here locally, that certainly attracted more crowd, but I was really impressed how many people we have there.
And it was a very moving ceremony. Tomas, we're hoping we get to launch tonight. I haven't looked at weather terribly closely today. Have you?
I have looked at the weather, yes, and I'm not the deciding factor here, but it will be a tough call tonight as well, as it was yesterday.
Now, when we finally do get to launch, tell us about how that process works for you in actually getting the gas balloons off the ground.
So once the balloons are ready to launch, that means that they are equipped, that they have all the sand and ballast in there. We are waiting them off. That means we are looking that they are buoyant and that they are just barely launching. If they are barely launching, we keep them on the ground. We do the last checks, so radio check, looking if the transponder is working, if the appendix, that's the little hose on the bottom of the balloon, is open. All the safety things. And once the pilot is ready and good to go, then we take one additional bag out because that gives you enough lift, and then they smoothly lift off the launch platform.
And are you controlling the time between launches?
Yes, I'm controlling the time between launches because if there's enough wind, the balloons move away. So there's no, no fear that the balloons could get into each other, that they could bump into each other. But if there's little wind, you have to take care that there's no balloon above the other balloon, so you don't launch one balloon into the other. But obviously, in order to have a fair competition, you try to launch them as quickly as possible behind each other, so they have more or less the same launch time.
Sounds good. Now, Marc, you were just at the Gordon Bennett earlier in September, and you have mentioned to me here that there are some significant ways that the America's Challenge race is different in administration from the Gordon Bennett. What are you seeing?
Well, I'm really looking forward to see even more when I'm here. You're running the competition center here. You really have a pretty big crowd of people helping you out and managing. I think you're more observing what the teams are, more guiding the teams what they're doing, not telling them from the strategic point, but you really are in a closer contact than what we are at Gordon Bennett. At Gordon Bennett, this year we had 17 teams in the air. We cannot be in close contact with them. So we are more observing from the outside. At Gordon Bennett, the competition, the competition team was basically 4 people. Like Thomas was the deputy director, you have the event director, Marcus Hagene, the safety officer, and we had 1 ITC person. So those 4 people basically formed what you have here with a 10-people team.
Now, one of the similarities is that both the Gordon Bennett and the America's Challenge are using the YB trackers, and you have a lot of experience with those. What can people expect on the Balloon Fiesta website?
So the cool thing with those trackers is really they work satellite based. So we will always get a position from the balloons independently where they are, even if they would fly far north into Canada, knowing that it's not open this time, but they will always be visible. We get that position every 5 minutes, so you can really every 5 minutes see where they are. And there's basically 2 ways to access this. One is on the Balloon Fiesta homepage. You go into gas ballooning and the America's Challenge, and you see the map where they are. And the other option, there's an app called YB Races. You download this app on your phone. You select add race, select the America's Challenge, and then you can have it in your pocket. And I can tell you, you will get, have to look all the time and see it.
Yes, I was watching the Gordon Bennett obsessively at home when that was going on. So thank you both for joining us this morning. We hope for a successful gas launch soon, I hope. And we're going to send it back up to Glen and Art on the stage.
Thanks, Ruth. And say hello to Tomas for me. He may or may not remember, but in the mid-90s, 93, 94, 95, I think, I was on the board of directors of the Balloon Federation of America. And Tomas, at a meeting here in Albuquerque, came to us and talked with us about a little project that the German Balloon Club had ongoing that was a summer camp for young people getting them into ballooning. Yep. And that was kind of the impetus that created what is now our series of junior balloonist summer camps that the Balloon Federation of America operates. We had 3 great camps last summer. Normally we have 3 or 4 each year. Typically there's one here in Albuquerque. Yep. And so I still remember Tomas from when he was a very young man at that time, and I was a younger man at that time, and him coming to talk to us about balloon camps for youth and getting them involved in the sport of ballooning. And so,
very popular camps that we have now.
Absolutely, yeah, and a great way to get youth and young people involved into our sport. Thomas, of course, has grown up in the sport as well and is now a very well-respected international balloonist involved in all sorts of levels of the sport. But yeah, that's my memory of meeting Tomas, was back when he was involved in youth balloon camps for the German Balloon Federation.
Great, and registration for those camps here in the U.S. usually open in the March timeframe, March, April, if I remember correctly.
As I recall, and I think there are plans for 3 camps again this summer. You can get most of the information on that you'll find on the BFA's website, which is very easily, it's just bfa.net. And in fact, later today, over in the Sid Cutter Pavilion at 11 o'clock this morning, the Balloon Federation of America has its annual general membership meeting. Anyone is welcome to attend, so if you have an interest in the sport of ballooning, getting involved with the BFA is a great way. Look at that. Oh, what a beautiful dog.
Chase Crew.
Yeah.
On duty.
That's gorgeous. Yeah, but if you have an interest in ballooning, getting involved with the BFA is one way to get involved and to learn a great deal about the sport. We'd love to see you at our annual general meeting today at 11 o'clock over in the Sid Cutter Pavilion.
You know, we talked last night when we had to delay and then eventually cancel our balloon glow last night about how disappointed the pilots get, just as the spectators do. And you can see the anxiousness in a number of our pilots out here today as they are firing off their burners to provide a little entertainment and something for them and their crew to do as well.
Well, and I think you can take some positivity from that. You look at so many of the pilots that have the trailer doors are open, the baskets are out, and
they're ready to go at a moment's notice.
They're optimistic that we will get this flight off this morning. if there was a lot of pessimism and a sense that we were not going, those trailers would all be slammed shut, locked up tight. There wouldn't be balloons lying on the ground like there are now.
That's the Fiesta 50
That's the Fiesta
balloon.
Gold balloon, right.
Yep.
And so I think we can take a lot of positive from that so many of the pilots, they're all still here. They do have their gear rigged. The trailers and vans are open. They're ready to go. We just need to get the wind to cooperate with us a little more, and then we can get today's flight off. But I think that's a good sign.
I do too.
If we were leaning more toward canceling, then you would see a lot of these guys packing their gear up and heading out of the field and going off to breakfast or whatever somewhere else this morning.
All hanging out with us. The Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta is a nonprofit organization. And while we have a staff of about 18, we have a board of directors of 24, and one of the longtime members of the board of directors. And the current 23 years you've been there, you've been 32.
32.
Yeah. Yes. So, but he is now the president of the board of directors for the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. And I forgot to tell the truck that we were doing this, but Mr. Al Tetrault is here. Yeah. Good morning, Al.
Yeah. Good morning, Balloon Fiesta.
Hey, so tell us what's going on.
We're enjoying ourselves. I know we're on a hold right now, but hopefully we'll get a flight here in a while. And I'm just totally excited. I just want to thank the citizens of Albuquerque and all of our wonderful volunteers, our paid staff as well, and all my fellow directors for this great event.
Talk a little bit about the board of directors. How do they get involved? How do they help pull all this together?
Well, first of all, there's 23 of them. Unfortunately, we lost one of our friends this year, Frank Mezzincello, and I want to give a big round for him. He was a great man and one of the better people I've ever met in my life. But the board is also a group of volunteers, and they are elected every year, or every 2 years actually. And I'm the president of the board. We have a vice president, secretary, and treasurer. And the board works all year long, very closely with the staff, Paul and Sam, to put on this great event. All of these volunteers, these board members who volunteer, all of them have multiple years of doing this. They're just great people. They come from all walks of life. One of ours was a Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Judy. And
we talked with Judy earlier this morning.
She's our vice president, and several of the other board members. We have affectionate names like Dr. Time and Doc, who's been here for, I think he came in right after God, but I'm not sure.
So, Al, how is it? Is it a rotational thing that you just happened to be the president of the 50th year, or were you elected to that position?
We kind of go through the chairs. We call it going through the chairs.
Okay.
And about 6 years ago, Ty Young asked me if I was interested in the position of being a secretary. And so I started off as secretary. And then the following year, I was elected to vice president. And now I've jumped into the president role. So unless I'm impeached, I'll be here for a lot longer.
So you have been here for 30-some years.
I've been here for 32 years. I started in 1991, and I came onto the board. This is my 32nd year. I came onto the board. My major job at that time was to put together the public safety unit that you currently see on the field. It consisted of a one man that had a fire extinguisher on his back and a 45 on his hip.
Wow.
And now it's evolved to one of the premier. I was talking to a friend of mine from Colorado, and they used the Balloon Fiesta public safety model for training in their state.
Wow.
And I think I just want to dispel one rumor that might be floating around out there, because I came on board with Fiesta in 1990.
Yes.
You just said you came on in 91.
Right.
It is not Fiesta that has given you and I this gray hair.
No.
Okay.
No, I've got a lot of them. Like I said, I was a policeman for 22 and a half years. I retired. That started some of the gray.
Uh-huh.
Of course, my wife says I've been gray since I was 19. You know, that's one person I have to give a lot of credit to. My wife, Shirley, has been by me all the way for the last 54 years. And she supports me in everything I do, and she supports me in the Balloon Fiesta as well.
You mentioned our dear friend Frank Mezzincello, and
yes.
Frank was a dear friend to me. He was really kind of the media liaison from the board to the field announcers back when it was Tom Rutherford and myself, so I got to know him very well during that time. What kind of an individual do you look for a person to become a member of the board of directors? Frank will have to be replaced, so what character traits do you look for, and where do you search to find a new member of the board of directors?
We search all over. I mean, many of our directors have had friends that they recommend, but we're looking for people basically that have Fiesta in their heart and that they want to do something for Fiesta. That's the main trait that we want from you. Other than that, you know, some of our people have been in real estate. We've got some of our members have been contractors, general contractors, building contractors. I look at some of them have been in the balloon business. My predecessor, Matt Guthrie, was in the balloon industry. So, I mean, there's no real thing. The thing we want more than anything is love of Fiesta and what you can love a Fiesta and what you can accomplish.
Yeah, a desire to serve Fiesta.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And you know, my goal is to make Fiesta better than when I came.
Well, you certainly were handed a plum assignment on the one hand of being the president during the 50th, but that also has to carry a great weight and challenge. I would think as an individual to say, you know, I'm the guy for the 50th.
Well, you know, it's always a learning experience, no matter what job you do. And in this particular case, that's what I've been doing for the last year, is learning my ups and downs and taking my bumps and bruises and moving on. I love Fiesta. You know, I've put Fiesta ahead of a lot of things in my life. And as far as my love for Fiesta, it's beyond reproach.
So when will the board then, so many of us have been pointing toward this event as kind of the penultimate ballooning experience. We all wanted to get to the 50th.
Yes.
Well, Balloon Fiesta is going to go on. There's going to be a
right.
Balloon Fiesta next year, a 51st, a 52nd. When does the board start looking to the future, and how much time do you spend considering what will the next 50 years bring to Fiesta?
Well, we have a strategic planning commission committee that we put together on Balloon Fiesta to look at future ideas. But you know, we look for people. We have both Paul Smith and Sam Parks. Both, I know they're a little more elderly than some people. I won't go any further than that. But Sam and Paul
I can't wait till that next meeting.
Yeah.
I'll probably get that one. Sam and Paul, I look to them for a lot of their ideas. They have a great staff. You know, Archer with it all the time. You know what they do down there and all the efforts they put forth. You know, I think we've got some wonderful ideas. You know, my dream is to put together a secondary balloon field.
Okay.
A little bit south of here, and so that we could fly it back and forth, because right now one of our biggest problems is our landing sites and finding places, you know, to land. And if we could ever, you know, the mayor, I've talked to the mayor about it, I've talked to the governor about it, and hopefully in the near future we can make that next step. And that's what I'm looking to do in the future. And I think everybody, as I've looked at the different things, you know, Matt, my predecessor, and some of the things that Matt did, you know, he had to go through the COVID-19 ranks. But he also did some great things, and we brought a real nice fiesta together last year after all the stuff was knocked down.
That we're trying to forget about.
Yeah, well, it's all
that
forgot.
Stuff. Yeah,
it's like my son Kenneth always says, it's in the books.
There you go.
And once it's in the books, you can't do anything about it.
That's right. All you can do is go forward.
That's it. Al Tetrault, President of the Board of Directors of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. Thank you very much for coming
And
by.
thank you. You know what I'd like to hear? I want you to see if you can get that whole crowd out there to say good morning to a balloon fiesta.
You think we could do that?
Why don't you do it?
Well, we'll try it.
We'll try
it here in a minute.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Al.
All right.
Appreciate you coming
it.
by.
Thanks, Al. It's good to see you. Well, you do your all phone glow, so, there's a challenge. Al's laid down the challenge for you, so, get on it.
Oh, let's see. Hey, do you see what I see?
I do. We both saw it at the same time. Over in front of the main stage, ladies and gentlemen, there are balloons inflating. These are our balloons of the day. There is the Fiesta Gold balloon with which we know Judy Nakamura is going to be flying this morning with the governor. We saw them earlier attaching those memorial streamers. And I believe just beside that is the new Dos Equis balloon, and that would be Sean Askren who'll be flying that, I believe, unless he and Scotty have swapped balloons by some chance. And those are our balloons of the day. They will be launching with the American flags and the national anthem, which will kick off our mass ascension.
I'm catching up on our new time schedule here.
I understand, yeah. I'm just looking at the Fiesta Gold balloon inflating there, the yellow balloon, which you'll see in a moment has that beautiful turquoise background for the 50th golden logo. But we can see, at least from our vantage point here high on the rooftop studio, one of the many features that makes that balloon so special, and that is at the top of the balloon, on the parachute top, is the silhouette of Sid Cutter. It is a
We showed
duplicate.
that statue before, with him all decked out with the top hat and the 50 sign
shirt
and
all
that good stuff. There it is. You can see it great.
Yeah, there it is now. The silhouette of that statue is in the top of the balloon, so that as the balloon inflates, it's as if Sid were there in a basket waving to you, and then once the balloon is up in the air, you could look up through the top of the balloon. It's as if he's waving down at you. A beautiful
Watching over
feature,
you.
watching over us, as I'm sure he is. And his creation here at the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, which, by the way, we haven't mentioned it in a while, is powered by ExxonMobil, as is Balloon Fiesta Live.
You
by the
betcha.
way.
And sponsor hospitality. ExxonMobil has stepped up big time to power lots of different aspects of Balloon Fiesta, as well as the entire event.
Well, whoever is powering the hot chocolate machine, thank you for that.
Yep. ExxonMobil becoming a great partner with us, if you will. I know my boss doesn't like those words partner, but we enjoy working with the ExxonMobil folks, and we are glad that they are with us. They're enthusiastic and excited about powering one of the most extravaganza and entertaining and
the most photographed event in the world.
There you go.
Right here. And in fact, their other, one of their balloons is, I believe that's the ExxonMobil balloon beginning to cold inflate right here in front of
us.
Corporate Village, right in front of Sponsor Hospitality. So, yeah, so it looks like the wait is going to prove to have been worth it, as they would say. As apparently our officials feel like they have now gotten enough information that the wind layers we were concerned about are beginning, as we had hoped and suspected they might, begin to mix themselves out and slow down as the sun comes up. The sun's still not over the Sandias, but it's getting there.
Which is why it's taking longer.
Exactly. Well, and it has to fight its way through all of that heavy cloud cover over
Exactly.
there. So it's taking longer for the sun's rise to have its effect on the wind and the weather, as if it would have happened much quicker had it been a clear day. But had it been a clear day, we probably wouldn't have had the winds and the other issues to deal with.
And I talked a few minutes ago about the wind detector and all those different speeds.
Right.
I just checked, and that updates like every 5 minutes on its own there, and I can definitely see the mixing starting.
Okay.
The high speeds are coming down, the low speeds are coming up a little bit, so they're kind of settling in together. Actually, if you look behind us, you see lots of blue.
Lots of blue sky. It's not nearly as dark and gray and foreboding back behind us off to the west and southwest as it was early this morning. So, yeah, all in all, the weather picture is improving greatly, and that's what we want to see this morning.
In fact, look, actually the sun is actually starting to come through right on the Dos Equis.
Oh, yeah.
And
So
Fiesta
it actually
Gold
did,
balloon. It just popped right through the
is
clouds. It's
above,
not getting over it.
Well, it's above the Sandias, but it's having to poke through the clouds because
Yep.
it will not reach the field unless it's actually higher than the Sandias.
Yep.
So it is up. It's just the cloud layer that has been blocking it, but it has poked a hole through there so they can reach our 2 balloons of the day. There's a great shot from there's the Fiesta Gold balloon. We talked about the silhouette of Sid that we can see from this side. This camera view is opposite our end of the field, and you can see some of the replica of the 13 original balloons that are indicated on the sides of the Fiesta Gold balloon. And of course, Dos Equis, not always the most interesting balloon in the world, but they are when they fly.
There you go.
This is a new balloon for Dos Equis.
And actually, I'm starting to see other bubbles of color start midfield.
Well,
those are the ride balloons, even
Riders.
right here in front now. So they, a text message I got here, the field is open for inflations. So we're going to start to see a number of them. Start the process of cold inflating the balloon, which basically amounts to turning on an inflator fan and blowing the ambient temperature, ambient temperature air into the balloon. And they asked me to do this for
Go
9
ahead.
days.
I'm not rescuing you out of that. I'm going to just let you dig a little deeper.
They just turn those fans on, fill the envelope up with cold air, and then they turn the burners on and heat it. The air, as it becomes warmer, becomes less dense. It lifts, the balloon stands up. There we go.
Yeah,
I got through that.
What he said.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Other times you just are.
That's it. That's it. Somebody says we went from waiting for an hour to now balloons inflating within 5 minutes. We told you that the pilots and the crews were rigged, ready, and just standing by, that as soon as they said go, it was literally pull the starter on the inflator.
On the inflator fan, and away we go.
There was all the ground preparation that you could do was basically done and ready. We saw all those balloons stretched out. We're going to hold on Ruth there because we are just moments away from the national anthem.
We're just about to launch the
So we will get the national anthem and our balloons of the day aloft, and then we'll check in with Ruth right after that. So Ruth, just stand by, please, as we continue to start to get things underway.
Where have all these people been? Because all of a sudden, I'm beginning to see the crowd, stretching its way across the field. They must have all been up along Main Street having some hot chocolate or maybe a breakfast burrito or whatever.
Hey, someone has let a little pie ball go.
Yeah.
It's for those of you on the field, if you look kind of towards the south end, it's just a little black party balloon, and it's climbing. The idea behind that is for the pilots to be able to see, there it is. Great shot, guys, to see how fast the winds are going at what direction as that balloon climbs. So it is going directly to the south at this point, just a little bit quick right there, nothing that pilots shouldn't be able to handle. We should also mention, you talked about the Balloon Meister and the team making the decision whether balloons can fly or not. But ultimately, once the team says it's okay, it's up to the individual pilot to make the decision whether they actually inflate and fly. It's called the Pilot in Command, or the PIC. They are ultimately the person who says, yeah, it's a good day for me to fly, or it's not a good day for me to fly.
Yeah, even when you're participating in an event like this, the pilot in command always has the final authority, because for whatever reason, you might be here and 600 other pilots feel good and ready to fly. Maybe you didn't sleep well last night. Maybe you've suddenly got a stomachache. Maybe you had a breakfast burrito and it's not agreeing with your intestines or something. Maybe the fan didn't start and run right when you were starting to cold inflate. It can be any number of things that might have happened that make you say, I'm just not comfortable with going this morning.
Right.
That is always the pilot in command's discretion and always their prerogative to make that decision. So while we can raise the green flag and say, okay, go, 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 everything is great, every individual balloon pilot has to make the ultimate decision as to whether he or she flies, and they are never under pressure from anyone else to decide anything other than what they're comfortable with. So our team can say, yeah, everything looks good, the green flag's up, but it's still their decision in the end. They have to feel comfortable to go and fly.
And so we will see a number of balloons fly today, and I'm sure there will be some that will opt to stay on the ground today. That's always one of those. How many balloons flew today?
Oh, yeah. Like I can sit here and count. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that doesn't happen, folks. Our launch team can usually tell you after the flight, because one of the things we do is each pilot has a barcode that they check in with in order to get propane after the flight. So we can tell you afterwards. They do have a count of how many have flown because they go to get propane and refuel. But during the course of the flight, no, we can't count them as they go and give you a head count of how many are flying and how many are not.
We should advertise for a position for someone to count them.
Well, yeah.
Of course, if they don't get it right, then they'd be fired right away. And, try and count 650 balloons. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our national anthem and the launch of our balloons of the day. Our national anthem today by the United States Air Force Academy Band.
Hooray, as my former partner Tom Rutherford used to say.
And there we go. The Dos Equis balloon airborne with our colors. And now that gives the other balloons the okay to stand up their balloon once they get it fully cold packed.
Steve keeps coming to us on the set every time I yawn. Come on, Steve, cut it out.
Steve being our director.
He's caught me twice this morning. I see. Okay. Well, yeah, they've caught me twice this morning in the middle of a big yawn when they've cut to us on the set. Not always my best look.
But we see our Rainbow Riders balloons. There's the smiley face top of Bill Walker's Honeydew balloon. Bill Walker is another one of the board of directors of the Balloon Fiesta.
Okay.
That we were just talking with Al Tetrault about.
I've met and know many of them. Many of them I've known for many years, of course. I was surprised to realize that Al and I have been here almost the same time. I came on just 1 year earlier than Al did. So, yeah. And I was not aware, sadly, that Frank had passed. I knew last time I was here in 2019, well, 21 we were here.
It was just a few months ago.
Yeah.
Quite sudden.
He was having some health issues, but he and his son both always, great friends, and especially Frank. We just had a really great relationship through the years because he was, back in the day when Tom Rutherford and I were the field announcers before.
His job as the board of directors was to work with the field and therefore the announcers.
Exactly, and thus the announcers. And so whenever we had an issue, in fact, Frank was really instrumental in getting us moved from that old scaffolding we were talking about that was behind the stage in the middle of Main Street where we really couldn't see the sponsor balloons and all those things that we're here to do. He was one of those who was very instrumental in getting the approval through the FAA to move us onto what has now become our rooftop studio. So, yeah.
And like you said, his son, very involved with things as well. And actually, Frank's wife, Pat, does a tremendous amount of volunteer work in the office, getting all of those things that we provide to our pilots together. All those cards, making sure that those are there, the pins, the passes, the tickets to different events. You talked about those propane cards that get scammed.
Yeah.
In addition to propane cards, there's launch cards, and then there's different cards for all of the nighttime events.
All the glows, right.
All of those stuff, all of that stuff has to be put together, organized, etc. And Pat spends weeks, literally weeks before Balloon Fiesta, working with our pilot team to help us put all of that stuff together.
Well, and that's what Al was talking about when he mentioned, the desire to serve Fiesta is what makes a good board of directors member. And Frank certainly was that. And my thoughts to the Mezzincello family. Frank was a great friend, and I'm sorry to hear that he's passed. I didn't know that until this morning.
I'm sorry that you didn't get that message. And I know that actually his son Steve has, during the year, done more flights for Rainbow Riders, Scott Appleman and Rainbow Riders, and opted this year to fly his own balloon in honor of his dad.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
So, yep, we do miss Frank.
I am going to check out of our live feed for a few minutes because we have a special thing coming up this morning.
Oh, we have Ruth still standing. She's still
down
down
right.
there?
We do have Ruth standing by. Sorry, Ruth. We got involved up here and forgot. Nope,
Okay.
nope. Okay, she has moved on as well.
Yep, she couldn't keep the crew standing there. That's all right. We understand when it comes time to inflate the balloon, it's time to go get it done. So, our 2 ExxonMobil balloons standing up. New sponsor for us, Netflix, down here as well, right in front of us. You can see them on the camera there. Netflix and ExxonMobil, and then the Hot Minute balloon, ExxonMobil next to that as well. Here's a shot from the north end of the field. So you're looking back down towards us, and you see the sea of Rainbow Riders balloons. Hey, there's a new balloon here in Albuquerque. If you look on the left of the screen, a lot of blue, and then there's kind of
With
a
that
green
rather
eye.
unique Zia there?
Yeah, and that Zia in there. If you were to look closely at that, you would see that the lines of the Zias are actually wrenches.
Okay.
And then that center of the Zia, there it is kind of more of a skull. Yeah, you can see the wrenches. So the name of that balloon is Gut Wrenching.
Okay.
Sean Spiker, new balloon. He's had that a month, maybe 6 weeks now.
Okay.
So
I can go with that.
Yeah. There's even a closer shot of the wrenches.
I saw it yesterday, and I didn't catch the significance of the design, and certainly I didn't know the name of the balloon at that time. So, yeah, that's interesting.
There was another longtime sponsor banner there as well, General Mills.
Oh, I can remember launching off the old field where
Right.
the General Mills factory was over in the left corner, and in the morning they'd be making Cocoa Puffs, and it was like swimming in a bowl of Cocoa Puffs. It was just the most delicious.
And you had to go through the main gate to get in that way,
yeah.
and they usually gave you a little box of cereal coming through.
Right,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, that was great fun time.
I can remember when I learned to fly out in Sacramento, California, we were near one of the, I don't remember if it was Hunt's or one of the other brands, but they made tomato ketchup. They grew a lot of tomatoes out there.
Oh,
And in the mornings, you could be flying, and it was like flying in a bowl of tomato soup. You know, the smell of the tomatoes was just so obvious. It was apparent. It was thick in the air as you were flying. And that's the way the Cocoa Puffs used to be when we were down off the General Mills field. I kind of miss that. That was always fun.
Well, of course, it's there all year, and as we drive around the city, depending on which way the wind is blowing,
Yeah,
you
still get that?
Still get that smell of the Cocoa Puffs. And there's actually a bike trail. It actually connects at the museum here and then goes to the west side of the field and then goes south, and it goes right by General Mills. And I'll ride that bike path a number of times during the year, and it's it's always great to go by General Mills. And
where I grew up in East Texas, in Southeast Texas, we didn't have a General Mills. We had a paper mill. And when the paper mill
does not smell like
when
Cocoa
the paper
Puffs.
mill, odor blew in, it was not an exciting thing. It was not something you wanted to relish. Trust me.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm glad we have General Mills.
I'm glad you do too. I always enjoyed it. Oh, goodness. So let's see. Yeah, we've got all the Rainbow Riders balloons. Looks like they're just about all standing and just waiting on launch director approval to get airborne. Our first couple of rows here along corporate row, A and B, are also largely standing.
We have something called the 3-row rule here at Balloon Fiesta that we teach our pilots to kind of watch, and that is to look 3 rows ahead of you, whatever downwind might be, and to look there and to kind of follow what they are doing. So if the balloon 3 rows down from you is standing up, then you should be ready to stand up.
Right.
And so we get this, it really is a wave. We talked about the first wave and the second wave, but it really is kind of a wave going through the field. And we do it from midfield to the north and from the very south end back to midfield. And then we do the whole thing again a second time.
Well, and we are beginning to launch now, finally getting balloons in the air this morning as some of the Rainbow Riders out of the center of the field are getting cleared and getting airborne. So at long last, we are, how long was that weather hold? We've been here since 6 a.m. It's now almost 8.
58 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's happening. Yep, there's Eric Greenwood up as one of the others. I'm hearing whistles right here in front. So our launch directors are...
The ExxonMobil team is moving their balloon, walking the balloon, getting it ready to go. I see the launch directors moving the crowd back along the front of sponsor hospitality here. Yep. Getting room to launch that balloon so that they can clear the rooftops that we sit on so that you and I don't become a balloon statistic, as the FAI or the FAA was once worried about. That worry never proved.
And there goes Bill Walker and Honeydew. Big cheer.
Yep, big cheer from the crowd here around
as we
him.
Start balloons from the south end as well as the middle.
Absolutely. He's going to come right up over the top of our location. There goes
there
our
he is.
Presenting sponsor balloon. We are powered by ExxonMobil and one of their balloons getting airborne as well.
That basket is Bill that we've talked about.
Yep. The ExxonMobil balloon has the two-tone blue stripes, then the bands of gold and white right across the center. There they are on your screen.
Matt McClinton flying that one. Right behind him, Tristan McLean in the big whiter than the other white equator.
With the two purple bands around the white. Those
Yep.
are the two balloons. There's a wave of Tristan's cowboy hat as he gets the second ExxonMobil balloon airborne. Krispy Kreme is in the air. Their orange and red striped balloon from down around main stage. Yellow bands in the center, and of course that very vibrant Krispy Kreme donut right on the side of the balloon. We enjoyed some of their product here this morning.
I'm almost ready for another Krispy Kreme
well,
donut.
Yeah.
Jeff Duff flies that for us, by the way.
We go nicely with the hot chocolate that is still kind of lukewarm. It gets cold up here.
It's cold fast.
Pretty quickly on the stage if you don't drink it.
There you go.
Yep. In fact, that's gone cold already. Not a fan of cold hot chocolate, by the way. So
it's just chocolate. It's just chocolate milk, then.
Well, no, it's not, because I'm a big fan of the Mukru chocolate milk here too. But
yeah.
But gut wrenching is in the air, having nothing to do with chocolate milk, by the way. Over the west.
Our launch directors are geared up too. There goes the racer off the west side. We see on the screen right here in front of us the Netflix balloon.
Netflix balloon is getting airborne, so we're not wasting any time getting guys in the sky, getting balloons in the sky now that we have the approval to do so.
The whole row of Rainbow Riders. People getting a balloon ride this morning, something probably on their bucket list.
Over in this cluster of balloons around the Sid Cutter Pavilion is the balloon of R&S Power Sports, Steve Lombardi. There we get a look at it. Looks like Sherry Edwards-White moving her touchstone balloon just out of the way, the racing balloon. Now we can see the R&S motorsports or power sports balloon. That is Steve Lombardi. We talked a lot about Balloon Fiesta being family here. Well, Steve and his wife Leilani have been sponsored by R&S for about 30 years now. R&S Power Sports owned by Rick and Susie Alcon. In one of the very early years here, Steve and Leilani were invited to an elementary school performance where the Alcon's two daughters, Sarah and Kristen, were performing. Well, over the years, the Alcons have become more than just sponsors. They've become very good friends. Fast forward to today, Sarah has earned her PhD and is now a professor at a university in Oklahoma. And Kristen is married with a 3-year-old little girl of her own, along with her husband, Galen, who both work at R&S Power Sports. Earlier this year, we found out that Kristen and Galen are expecting their second child.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
I suspect something
Something's
special.
up. Yeah, so we're going to hang on here and leave you with that part of the story. But there's something special coming up this morning. Steve and Leilani recently visited Albuquerque and had dinner with Sarah and the family. And they were asked to perform a very special service this morning. And so in just a few moments, we're going to watch for Steve to launch. And we'll tell you the rest of the story there.
Just saw the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center balloon while we wait for news from R&S. But the sky is already filling quickly behind us. And as I look up high, they have basically stopped. So we talked about the winds fast down here.
Right.
They are slow upstairs, and they appear to be going to the west.
Yeah, that's what
so
we
it's
wanted.
not all straight south. So
there is the Team GB balloon with the Union Jack on the side. I was just over in the UK doing a bit of ballooning at the Sky Safari event in Longleat, and of course it was a very unusual time to be in the UK. I actually arrived on the day that Queen Elizabeth II passed away, and then was back in London having made a short visit to Scotland on the day of her state funeral. So very unusual time as an American to find myself over in the United Kingdom and see the reverence with which that nation held Her Majesty.
actually, look at these balloons that are just a couple 100 feet off the ground. The Rainbow Riders one, the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, etc. Look how much slower they're going already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to mix down very nicely.
It's mixing down nicely, and that's exactly what we wanted, what we had hoped would happen. And in fact, it has. So we're off for a great flight today, albeit a somewhat delayed flight this morning.
But with the sun and with the clouds, the sun not being able to get through the clouds, we're not going to have the ground heating as fast, and so we're not going to have thermal activity of up and down drafts due to the heating of the ground. So that makes it a little bit easier to stay up in the air a little bit longer or to fly just a little bit later, since we're getting a little bit later start.
Right, exactly.
Hey, look, the new Intel balloon is now standing up right next to the Coca-Cola balloon.
Our friend Craig Kennedy was here on the tower earlier. Now, he's used to fly Intel, but now he's flying Chick-fil-A.
Right.
So Intel has a new balloon and new pilot, I presume. There goes Solaire is off into the air. They're one of the Fiesta sponsors. Their rainbow checked balloon along the far side there. That would be Sean Rea flying for Solaire.
I have Phil Glebe as flying the Intel balloon.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Gosh, I haven't seen Phil in forever. For a long, long time, Phil was the pilot of the Pontiac balloon.
Mm-hmm.
There is the beautiful blue and white balloon that is flying for the Rio Grande Down Syndrome Network. They're right over the center of the field. It's kind of a sky blue with white vertical stripes in it.
And we mentioned Coca-Cola. Marcia Lambertson is flying the Coca-Cola balloon for us.
We also talked earlier today when Ruth had that interview with Sherry White about the loss of her father, Sam Edwards, his balloon, the Texas Twist, also with a registration number G-Daddy. That is the red balloon with the yellow and blue spiral right behind the Intel balloon. And I think Tomas Hora is doing the honors of flying that balloon here at Balloon Fiesta.
Tomas and Mark, both of the guys that Ruth talked to.
Mark is also flying.
They're both flying the balloon, so who knows which one has actually got their hand on the burners, but they're both there.
We might be able to see once the balloon's airborne.
And Sherry got off quickly in her racer earlier before we got a chance to see her.
Well, I mentioned she was moving the balloon, which allowed us to get a good look at the R&S Power Sports balloon. That put me onto that story about what's happening there with Steve Lombardi and his sponsors, which we're still waiting now for the balloons in front of them to launch and clear so that we can continue with the launch. And I'll continue the story. We have big news coming in just a few moments. once we get the RNS Power Sports balloon in the sky.
Well, we got to get a couple that are downwind of them out of the way first.
This is also a brand new balloon for Steve, by the way, and since he figures the balloon will probably outlast the rest of his flying career, he reasoned when he posted the other day that this is probably the final balloon that he will own as a pilot. And if I remember correctly, I hope I've got this right, I think they decided the name of the balloon was Grand Finale.
Oh.
Very appropriate, I thought. And it's basically, I can see a bit of the balloon here. It's got yellow, orange, red, blue, green. You know, it's got the typical rainbow spectrum in it, but it's separated by a black and white racing spiral. And then you'll see the RNS. There goes the Intel balloon moving right out of our view. Now you can see the RNS, we can see rather. Yeah, there he is. See, just to the left of the Intel balloon, just coming out of the frame there at the bottom, the balloon with the black and white checked spiral. That's the RNS Power Sports balloon. So
I saw Pat O'Lanner, the pumpkin, get off the field off the south end here. Pat Grogan flying that. We continue to see a lot of the Rainbow Riders balloons. Our ride balloons take off from the center of the field.
There's the
new Visit Albuquerque balloon.
Yeah, just going to say, remember.
It's red today.
Right. In the drone show, they had the bit about, you know, the state question of the state is red or green. Well, check out this balloon. If they use those turning events, you'll see on one side it's a red, yellow, and black pattern with the.
And actually on the screen you can see the two colors.
So on one side, the balloon is basically a red pattern, and on the other side, it's a green pattern with
red
the appropriate
or green
chili.
Yep, red or green.
Both red or green. There goes Texas Twist, the G-Daddy balloon of formerly Sam Edwards with Tomas Hora and Mark Sullivan on board as pilots.
Quickly back to the red or green. Do you know that is the official state question?
No, I did not know that.
Red or green.
Is it really?
It is.
Awesome.
And then, of course, you get the people who can't decide.
Yeah.
So they just say Christmas.
Okay.
Both.
Well, you know, and I lean to the red, although I do love green, you know, the green chili stew that we get here in the morning sometimes down in hospitality.
Yeah, right.
I do love that. And they used to
I'm
make
a green. I'm a green.
Are you green?
I'm a green.
Yeah.
My wife is a red. So, yeah.
Well, I grew up in Texas, and we're more red there.
It's not quite the same.
It's not the same, no.
Nope, not the same.
But that leads me more to the red, because we just don't have the opportunity to have the green chili that much in Texas. But here in Albuquerque, I certainly love the green chili stew. And they used to make a green chili chicken soup that we would have downstairs.
Yes.
And gosh, was that delicious.
By the way,
I can go either way, green or red.
I did discover when I was in Plano last week that Central Market, one of the big supermarket chains, at least in the Plano area, has Hatch green chili from New Mexico.
Oh, good.
So that was cool to find that there.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder. There is the new Kubitschek-built U.S. Air Force balloon celebrating 75 years. A lot of anniversaries here this year. 50th Balloon Fiesta, 25th America's Challenge, 75th year for the United States Air Force.
Convenient. You put them together. 50,
25
equals
75. There you go. Yeah.
That's it.
Outstanding. So
Buddy Beaver down there at the north end of the field.
The RPS balloon is standing and ready to go. Bright yellow with that teal and pink latticework band around the center, right next to the RNS Power Sports balloon. That's the one we're watching for Steve Lombardi to get airborne. And if you haven't figured it out by now, because we know that Sarah and Galen are expecting their second child, what's happening this morning is a rather unique gender reveal. We're going to find out. We know they're having a baby. We're going to find out what baby they're having, what the gender of the newest member of the RNS Power Sports family is going to be. So we're waiting on that reveal to happen as Steve launches, when he does. Steve Wilkinson, a different Steve, by the way, is there with the Cosmic Crisp balloon, one of the special shapes that's here, corporate special shape. They'll be up and launching in a moment. I didn't notice this balloon before. It has the top that says OU Sooners from the University of Oklahoma.
I just caught that, yeah.
There goes the RPS balloon right next to Steve Lombardi, so hopefully we'll see
They'll be working their way back over towards
RNS Power Sports will be going here in a moment. We'll get the burning question that we're all asking this morning is Sarah and Galen having a boy or a girl? What will the newest member of the RNS Power Sports family be?
You know, there's a lot of other questions being asked out here
Well,
on
I'm
the
sure
field
there
today
are.
as well.
I'm being a little sarcastic. You can appreciate that.
I can. I just know that we were getting some information from the Garrity group that handles our media out here.
Oh.
There are apparently a whole bunch of marriage proposals taking place out here this morning, as
Sure.
there usually
There
are.
usually are, yeah. Yeah, let's hold on that, Steve.
They should be pretty much next in line.
Yeah, they should be.
We're talking to our truck here as we continue to direct and produce from the stage.
Yeah, right.
Over the PA system.
Over the PA system. What, yeah, hey, it's live TV. What can we tell you?
That's exactly.
There's a good look at the Cosmic Crisp balloon as it goes airborne right there on our feed. Again, Steve Wilkinson is the pilot. The Cosmic Crisp balloon, by the way, or the apple itself, is actually a scientific accomplishment. It's a crossbreed, I guess, between a couple of different apple varieties that a university up in the Northwest, I forget exactly what state and what university, put it all together.
Scott Woogie has taken the PNC bank balloon out of the way, which kind of clears the.
I was going to say, I think they're clearing the area to get the RNS Power Sports balloon off.
And look, the burner's going big time into RNS.
Steve's pouring some heat into the balloon, so we're going to find out in just a moment what is going to be the gender of Sarah and Galen's new child, the newest member, the newest arrival of the RNS Power Motorsports. There goes the banner. And ladies and gentlemen,
turning vent so that we can see the banner.
It's a girl.
All right.
Congratulations. So Sarah and Galen and the RNS Power Sports family on the new expected arrival of a baby girl, and the gender being unveiled right here this morning. Again, that's kind of a nice story to bring you because it's indicative of the 30-year relationship that Steve and his wife Leilani have had with the RNS Power Sports family, and that's what ballooning is all about here at Balloon Fiesta. And so thanks, Steve, for allowing us to be a part of that special moment for the family this morning, and congratulations to Sarah and Galen.
Definitely about relationships.
Absolutely.
You do. You know, you may come from other places in the world and you get connected with people here in Albuquerque and those connections. We've often talked about Balloon Fiesta being a huge family reunion.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, case in point, the two of us. You and I didn't know each other until 5-6 years ago when you came up to audition for the role that
we
Tom
had met
Rutherford
early
was
on.
We'd met, but we really weren't friends, didn't know each other.
No.
And now, as people have said, we have this rapport between the two of us up here on the tower as if we've been best friends for our life.
You bet. Think we've been doing this for all of our
I honestly don't
lives.
care for you at all. So
thanks a bunch.
Yeah. So it is all about family and about relationships.
Have we given you your check yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe I should wait.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, let's go back down to Ruth now that we have the new reveal. Ruth Lynn, what have you got for us this time?
Well, I'm getting in trouble down here. I'm down in the official Balloon Fiesta merchandise tent with John Mulder, the AM manager, and this place is bustling. They have so much cool stuff down here. John, how do you go about selecting what's going in here for offer to sale?
Well, we have a merchandise director, and we have a board that helps them select things. And then it's a year in preparation before they get it all in here. And this year we have over 3 connexes of merchandise that we're setting out for people to purchase.
Tell us about some of the general categories.
We have soft goods, the hard goods, and the collectibles, and of course the pins and the jackets. And they go through a lengthy process of the designs that they go through.
That's wonderful. It seems to have slowed down a little bit in here now that the balloons are launching, but how have the crowds been this year so far?
Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Everybody's having a good time.
That's great. Are there certain times of the day where it's a little less crowded for people to come shop?
The AM is the busiest, but also in the evening we're just as busy too.
That's wonderful. Thank you, John. Guys, I'm going to throw it back to you. Then I'm going to be offline for a few minutes because I need to do some shopping. Sorry.
All right. Go ahead and spend that money. Thanks, Ruth. There is the new Xfinity Special Shapes balloon. Those hearts are actually 3D, and Xfinity just flying that balloon, getting that balloon just a couple of months ago. And so we are glad to have them with us as well. Xfinity being flown by, I have that as being flown by Sean Askren with Scott Appleman flying Dos Equis, which we saw earlier in the broadcast. So we are finally underway here after about an hour of a yellow flag hold and delay, but we are working our way through the first wave. Again, we start at the south end and at the middle, and we're approaching the halfway part of the first wave. There's the U.S. Bank balloon that is being flown by Scott McClinton. I see Hamlet, the pink pig, when pigs fly, still getting cold inflated. On the right side of that, there is the new World balloon. That will be what we now call Beautiful World. That balloon had its maiden flight on Friday with Sam Parks, our Director of Operations, at it. A cooperation, Jewel Cutter decided that she wanted to make one more balloon. Sid Cutter, our founder, his World Balloon Corporation, his company, that instrumental in making ballooning the thing it is here in Albuquerque, the hot air balloon capital of the world. Jewel wanted to one more time remind everyone how Balloon Fiesta and ballooning, not only a great family opportunity, but how it just brings everybody together and creates a beautiful world. So brand new World Balloon. We call it Beautiful World. If you get a chance to get close and personal with it, you'll see a number of hearts and stars all around the globe. Those mark significant places in Sid's career and in Sid and Jewel's life. So we thank Jewel for bringing that balloon to us and making that available. It was one, it represented Sid on Friday at our tribute flight. It's a zoo on the screen, flown by Clark Harbold, with the animals going around. We see the giraffes, elephants on the other side. Still getting our ride balloons going. By the way, once we get through this second wave, and we're still on the first, once we get through getting all of our regular shape and special shape balloons in the air, it'll be time to feature our remote control, or our RC balloons, or as we call them here at Balloon Fiesta, our globitos. We are looking to set a Guinness World Record this week, whether it's today or Wednesday or maybe on Friday, of the most number of model balloons inflated at the same place at the same time. We have 85 of those balloons registered. And there is the Fiesta Gold balloon. We talked earlier with the Vice President of the Board of Directors, Judy Nakamura, and the New Mexico Governor, Michelle Lujan Grissom. And they have finally put that balloon in the air, taking the New Mexico state flag airborne. So if we get to stand up 85 of those RC balloons a little bit later, the record is somewhere around 30, if I remember correctly. We will set that record by a great deal. And then tonight at the Balloon Glow, if we can pull that off, we are hoping to set another Guinness World Record for the most number of hot air balloons glowing at the same time. There's a nice shot of a balloon that has the parrot artwork on it. Our launch director is doing a good job of getting the balloons off the ground. And basically the left-handed box is working today. As they go off the field, they were going south. Now there's a little bit to the southeast. They get up, looks like about maybe 400 or 500 feet, maybe a little higher than that. They pretty much stop. Then they turn around and start heading out. Actually, now that I'm looking over there, maybe 400 or 500 feet, they almost go west. And then a little higher, they get the northwest. So they are boxing back over the top of us. And that's actually, if you look right on the ground to the southwest out there to the north, that's actually a perfect box. It's just on a northwest-southeast
It's a
pattern.
diagonal box.
The diagonal box.
Yeah.
But if you angled yourself, it's still a perfect box.
That's true. If you turn to your left and line up with the box, it's a perfect box.
Yeah.
We're nothing if not flexible here.
There you go.
There goes the U.S. Bank balloon, blue, with the white band in the center, and of course the logo's on it.
And I mentioned Scott McClinton flying that.
Did you talk about the new Beautiful World balloon? Because I see it.
I just did.
Okay.
I just did.
I just stepped away from the stage for a moment, so I must have missed that. I apologize.
That's all right. I'll tell it again.
I'm sure we will. Some folks doing some photography of their own down there on the field, looking at their feed. I see Ken Drawn and his balloon out in the center of the row that we'll be launching in a moment.
So that's Ron Sanchez, and he is going to be flying our balloon camera this morning.
Ah, okay. So we'll be getting some aerial views for those of you watching the Balloon Fiesta live feed.
Or watching on the video wall as well.
Hey, is our power strip turned on down there or not? Because I'm getting a low battery sign on my iPad, and it's plugged into a charger.
Yes. It is on because I have power coming through the other side.
All right, well,
let's try this.
Check my charger. There should be a little blue light on that charger if it's right there.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, it's on.
It's on.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess the sign says it's showing, but I'm down to like 10% on my iPad.
This one's charging.
Yeah, this one is too. But
Yeah.
I just had a low power.
Something
warning.
Got a little loose there.
Yeah.
So we were talking about, well, there goes the small Creamland. Someone asked earlier about whether Arabelle was going to fly. Probably not with the wind conditions this morning. So we see the little Moo Crew balloon flying.
And we've talked about, changes through the 50 years. Remember when Arabelle first came to Balloon Fiesta and she had a little special accoutrement of her own.
You mean the moon?
The moon, absolutely. There used to be a little, we talked about, the screwdriver yesterday. Everyone was asking about the inflatable blade.
Hanging?
They thought it was a rope hanging down, and it was actually the inflatable blade of the screwdriver balloon. Well, Arabelle used to have her own little sliver moon that hung below the basket to indicate, of course, the nursery rhyme with the cow jumping over the moon. But in recent years, we've not seen the moon in quite some time.
No, because we're on our third envelope, I think.
Is that
this
right?
is the third cow
iteration of the cow?
Yeah.
So maybe that just kind of went away over the years. But that or the man in the moon died. Who knows?
Yeah. We were talking about the beautiful balloon, the Beautiful World balloon.
Yes.
Yeah, and you were asking me
about it. I was asking about it, yeah.
So Sam Parks tells me he's got Johnny Petrin flying that for him today.
Oh, okay. Great. Well, and we talked about the Petrin family earlier today because mentioning today is our memorial flight, and that all started as a special memorial to our dear friend Becky Petrin.
There's the new fox peering out from around behind the
Oh, yeah.
other balloon.
That's one of our special shapes. And there's
Freddie the Fox.
Our view of one of the longtime shapes here. That is the, I like to call it the Tatanka balloon, if you remember Dances with Wind. That's Barry Ballinger in the, I think it's the Plains Bank balloon, the bison balloon.
Yep.
With the two buffalo or bison head on either side. There goes Slanja, Jeff Ashworth, and the official New Mexico State tartan balloon.
And there, speaking of Beautiful World, Johnny's getting the Beautiful World balloon airborne and giving us a nice view of the entire world as he rotates it.
Yeah, I wonder, I'm sure Sid's original World balloon probably did not have turning vents, did it?
You know, I don't know. I bet the later ones did, especially like the Small World, because he used that as a racing balloon and a competition balloon. He's even got it rotating the correct direction. I bet that's by design.
I'm sure that's Johnny Petrin paying attention to detail. Johnny, of course, is
and Cameron Balloons
and
too.
Cameron
Who built
Balloons
it?
too. Yeah. Johnny's a past world champion, 2-time world champion, I believe. Has been ranked as the #1 hot air competition pilot in the world during his flying career, and just an all-around nice guy.
Yep.
There's Humpty Dumpty. Did we mention him yet? One of our,
we did not.
Again, longtime special shapes.
And there's the clown, which we talked about. I was with Olaf. Is the
Olaf, the clown
registration number?
Yeah, not to be confused with Olaf. Maybe is he Olaf from Frozen?
You know, it could be.
I'm not
that's
sure.
Not one of the movies I've watched very often.
Well, I'll look and see because I'm a Frozen fan.
There you go.
I've seen that movie, so I didn't see an immediate resemblance yesterday, but I wasn't paying that close attention to it.
Yeah.
Looking to see if I recognized it as
I think it's
Olaf.
a little more clown, but
yeah, I think so too. But anyway,
so we continue to check in with our balloon cam, Ron Sanchez, and the We Go balloon, sponsored by Bubba's 33.
There goes Cavender's Balloon Airborne, where you can always find a nice pair of cowboy boots, something no one who lives in New Mexico or Texas, this part of the world, should be without. My dad loved wearing cowboy boots more than any other shoe. I never got into cowboy boots myself, but my dad was a big wearer of cowboy boots. He said they were the most comfortable shoes he ever wore. Is it wrong to call cowboy boots shoes? I don't know.
Well, I guess you could say the
footwear. Let's say it was the most comfortable.
I was going to go footwear.
Yeah, that he ever wore. Yeah,
that's it.
You know,
it's definitely slowed down. In fact, it's like all of a sudden warmed up now that the breeze has stopped.
It has warmed up, and it's just about between the TV lights and the brightness of the sky. I'm about to pull out some sunglasses, I think. I was going to say, we've talked a lot about family here this morning, and the balloon that I see in the air now is that a J-bill? I'm not familiar with the banner on the side, what that represents, but it's the red and blue spiraled balloon with the gold and black accent. That balloon originally was owned by Ken and Marianne Lair, who are great friends of mine. Ken is the only student I ever taught to fly hot air balloons. Turned out to be a pretty good pilot, and they were involved in the sport for a number of years. That balloon we actually built for them. I think this may be a second iteration, but we built the original at Thunder and Colt in Texas, and Ken and Marianne flew it for a number of years. And then have since sold it on to its second owner now. The current owners
is Tom Caius.
Okay.
And the name of the balloon is Dream On, and J-bill is a healthcare organization. So the J-bill Healthcare Organization sponsoring Tom.
See, I knew you'd know all that.
Well, Tom lives here. Tom is an emergency room physician in town.
Oh, okay. So now I'm going to try something with your spotting app. If I type in DRAUGHN, drawn, as a name, look at that, and it pops right up. In the air is the balloon, technical wizardry. Extremely Contagious is the balloon of Ken Drawn, the bright yellow balloon with the red and blue horizontal bands around the bottom and top, and then the interlinked red and blue diamonds around the center of the balloon. And I mention that only because when Henry was up with us yesterday, he gave us that pin. He mentioned his special friends. And one of them, of course, was Ken Drawn, the other being Sam Parks, that were represented on a special pin that he did for the 50th anniversary. So, good to see Ken in the air. Ken and I have been buddies for a long time. Ken actually flew with me once in my balloon when I visited North Carolina, and he survived to tell the tale, which not everyone probably has done. So it's always good to see Ken in the air. And we used to have a running joke between the two of us. He would always, say he couldn't wait for the day when I would announce his name because he was close to a target. And it took a while, but Ken got there. And he's another one of those great guys in the sport of ballooning. Ken does a lot of work with the Victory Junction camp, a camp put together through the auspices of NASCAR and I think the Petties in North Carolina for disabled youngsters. With his balloon, and he's one of those guys in the sport that just really gives back to ballooning at all times whenever he can. And so always good to see Ken in the air and Extremely Contagious. I think Art mentioned Doug Gant getting airborne in When Pigs Fly, or Hamlet, the pink pig with the white wings. The saying When Pigs Fly was kind of a tribute to Doug's dad, because when he was a kid, Doug was always very inquisitive, as young kids are. And so his dad's common answer was, well, that'll happen when pigs fly. And so when it came time for Doug to build a new balloon, he decided on a shape. And the When Pigs Fly that's on that balloon honors his dad. And Doug is a former resident of Florida, but has recently moved here to Albuquerque. So he's a new local pilot.
All right, I'm back.
You're back. Okay. Well, there goes the Plains Capital Bank, the Bison balloon, the Tatanka that I talked about earlier. Barry Ballinger is the pilot there. Just above him, that bright yellow balloon with the Texas star and the vertical racing stripe on it. That is Gary Haven. The balloon is called Almost Heaven.
There we see it. And were you talking about Doug Gant and Hamlet?
I was, yeah. I was telling about the background story to When Pigs Fly. And one of the Hartzels is in the air, Joe and his sons, Rhett and Lucas. I don't think Lucas is here, so that's either Rhett. I believe that's Rhett in this one. I can never tell. We had that discussion yesterday.
This one's got the silver around the stars.
Yeah.
So we think that's Joe.
I think that's Joe, but he,
can't tell.
I can't tell. I can't see if he's wearing a ball cap, and he looks a little taller than I usually think of Joe as being. But anyway,
I can't see for the other balloons in the way.
Yeah, so Joe is a 5-time U.S. national championship champion. His son Rhett just won his 4th U.S. national championship, and they fly balloons that are absolutely identical. Now, granted, one of them has silver around the stars, and the other one does not. That's the only distinguishing factor between the balloons. And that does nothing to help me figure out who's flying which one.
There you go.
But they're both in the air. Fortunately, all 3 are not here, because if Lucas was here, he'd be flying a balloon that looks just like it too. Then they built brand new balloons that all look the same. So, yeah, Joe and I have had that discussion for years. I think they do it just to frustrate announcers like us.
It's not fixing anything, so.
Yeah, no, not at all. UPS has their balloon in the air. No, that's not UPS. What is that? United to Save Lives. Donate.
United is the soccer team here.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. I'm sorry. I looked at that and thought it was
team.
the UPS logo at first.
I had to look up to see which one you were talking about.
My bad.
So, yep, the United is the local
fact,
soccer team.
I'm going to break out the sunglasses now so that maybe I can see a little better.
I saw Mandrill on our screen a little bit earlier, and there he is again.
Oh, yeah, there's Mandrill. I still say that looks like a character from The Lion King. I don't know why, but that's what it reminds me of.
What was the bad uncle's name?
Oh, gosh, I don't get...
No.
Graffiti is from Lion King?
Rafiki.
Rafiki, okay. So am I right then, Steve? Is that the character from Lion King? Ah, cha-ching. I'm smarter than the average bear. Yogi.
There's a good shot of him.
Yeah, well, I knew it reminded me because I got to see Lion King in London a few years ago. I had great seats. I was literally front row seat. I could literally reach out and touch the actors.
Oh, nice.
Great seats.
That is a great show.
It is a great show.
First time I saw that was in New York, and there was a huge downpour that came through Manhattan and Broadway just as we had to walk to the theater.
Oh, no.
So we got to Lion King, and we were drenched, and so was everyone else. And so before the show, everyone's in the restrooms trying to dry off all their clothes and everything else, and you sat through the show soaking wet. But it didn't matter because the show was so fabulous.
Well, speaking of great shows, musical theater, Broadway, wherever it is you choose to see it. When I was in London a couple of weeks ago, I had the chance to go see a great show that I highly recommend. I can't recommend it highly enough. It's called Come From Away. And it is the story of Gander, Newfoundland, where on 9/11, so many of the grounded aircraft had to park and stay for like a week.
Right.
And how that small town and its citizens took care of thousands of people that landed there from around the world, the friendships that were formed. It is a brilliant, brilliant production.
It absolutely is.
It's amazing because it's a cast of only 12, and each cast member plays multiple characters. The set is very minimalistic. I didn't think I would like it because I'm a big fan of big productions, Lion King, Les Mis, those types of plays. But I saw Come From Away in London, and it is spectacular if you have the chance. I think it's closing on Broadway here in January. It's not going to be a long-run show. If you have the chance, no matter where you are, take my advice and go see Come From Away. It's a brilliant stage production.
It is on tour, too. It was just through here in Albuquerque not too long ago. And we saw it in New York, and it was one of those, we're going to go to New York, we're going to go see 5 shows. And you know what? This one kind of looks interesting. Like you.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. I mean, this could be an interesting story. And blown away by that
absolutely.
show.
I have a niece that works on Broadway with Broadway Productions, and she's a music theater geek as I am, and I've seen all my favorites. I've seen Les Mis, I've seen Phantom, I've seen Lion King, et cetera, et cetera. And so every year I go to London, I want to see a show, and I said, well, what should I go see? And that was her recommendation. A friend of mine in Aberdeen, Scotland recommended it as well. And like you, I went in with very low expectations and was just blown away.
You laugh,
probably
you cry,
you jump for joy.
It
was probably the most amazing night of live theater that I have ever had in my life, and I do not say that lightly. It was just brilliant. So if you have the chance, go see Come From Away.
So we continue to launch balloons. It's actually, the pace has slowed down a little bit here now that the winds have calmed down.
Yeah, Humpty is getting airborne. Rich Lawhorn there. C&M balloon going airborne as well. It's a spiral pattern: sky blue, royal blue, black, purple, and
purple hearts,
pink, fuchsia. Maybe that is.
Yeah, Heart's Desire. That's Blair Kaufman's brand new balloon.
Oh, okay. You said that yesterday. I forgot.
I did.
I was listening and wasn't listening at the same time. I'm multi-talented that way.
There it is, right there.
Yeah, there it is on our video feed.
And I believe that's Mike Kelly right next to him in the red, blue, and yellow checkerboard. And Mike's name of the balloon primary color. There's Pico.
Pico, yeah, from
peeking behind the other balloons.
And they're here from. Are they from Gatineau or Saint Jean? I forgot.
I just had it up. Saint Jean.
Saint Jean sur Richelieu. A great event up in Canada. Rich Lawhorn going overhead in Humpty, and we can see that white memorial streamer that's tied to one of the uprights of the basket.
Earlier we talked about the Fiesta Gold balloon with Judy Nakamura flying it. This one is the spirit of Fiesta.
Right.
This was the previous balloon Fiesta balloon that with our board of directors and others have flown around. So we are still flying both of those balloons. That one should be being flown by Ray Bear today. And there's the...
now, is that... I know where you're going with that. Before you go there, though, is that Dave Bear that's flying the balloon? Isn't that one of the Bear balloons that's following out Fiesta?
Yes, yes.
So that would probably be Dave in that balloon?
That should be Dave. And so that would be Barely Awake.
Aha. Which kind of describes me this morning.
Yeah. Ray's balloon that looks like that is called Kaleidoscope.
Okay.
They've had 7 different envelopes, and like the Hartzels, every one
of them is exactly
identical.
alike. Yeah, okay.
Yep, you cannot tell them apart. But that would be Dave and Barely Awake.
All right.
Yep. There's Tamo.
Okay, and there comes the clown up out of the back, and that's Olaf. And I don't know. Maybe our audience could chime in. I don't see the resemblance to Olaf from Frozen, and maybe there's not meant to be. So we'll leave it at that. I'm just not sure. Well, he is a snowman, but I thought maybe this was like a snow clown. Is there such a thing?
Could be. Could be.
Oh, that's just what we need is comments from the truck.
And, of course, the pilot, Thomas Seibel, tells us the name of that balloon is Clown. And the Olaf comes from the registration number.
So it probably has no relation whatsoever to Frozen. It's probably just a coincidence of letters, I suppose.
By the way, that is brought to us by Wera Tools, which coincidentally is what the screwdriver is. It's a Wera screwdriver. So they're kind of a pair of balloons, even though I'm not sure how a clown and a screwdriver have anything in common.
I am not going there.
I see the Bubba's 33 food balloon, which is We Go. Ron Sanchez flying that balloon, so they are airborne. And we should have our balloon camera inside that balloon. We appreciate Ron flying that for us, and the Bubba's folks as well. They were a brand new sponsor here last year. And what a great partnership. Another one of those relationship things. Just getting started last year here, but I suspect that's going to be a very nice, lasting relationship between Bubba's 33 Food for All and Ron Sanchez, the pilot of We Go balloon.
Back looking at our Facebook feed, I see that my dear friend Ann is watching from Louisiana, from Baton Rouge. Let's see. Brock Boehm has checked in, reminding us that Olaf is a clown. Yes, we figured that part out. Ray Forsyth is watching. Hi, Ray. And yes, Ray, Frank Mezzincello is dearly missed. Ray was our stage manager here at Balloon Fiesta for a number of years. A good friend. Miss seeing him here every year. So, yeah.
The New Mexico True balloon, New Mexico True, the tourism phrase for New Mexico. We appreciate everyone coming in. Bill Lee flies that balloon for New Mexico True, and therefore we call the balloon True Lee.
Yesterday, all my troubles seemed so far away. There goes Mike and Betty Bowen's balloon, the balloon with the musical staff around it, and for those...
Look at the sky.
Yeah, look at that. And
not blue.
That is our crew. That's airborne. There's the museum.
Yep, there that is. Yep. So that's live from our Bubba's 33 food.
There's the line of shuttle buses all lined up, parked, waiting
to
carry all those people back to their destinations today. Anyway, I was mentioning Mike and Betty Bowen's balloon with the musical staff on it. We've discovered last year the music actually is the tune Yesterday.
It just went off the side of the screen, but there's our balloon camera balloon. So now we're looking at the camera.
So there's
as they look back at
the
us.
camera looking at the camera.
There you go. A great shot from the field.
And in that
Someone's
scene
waving at us
from
here.
the center of the field, you see launching that pink camouflage balloon that would is a Tammy
Schrum.
Is Tammy Schrum in her pink camo balloon? Absolutely.
She will have Tiamo here.
I was going to say she and Mike have that balloon Tamo. They have Tiamo, which is the heart-shaped balloon. I think Mike still flies the Ristra.
Both scheduled for the weekend.
Balloon. Yeah.
Or for Thursday, Friday.
Oh, and looking way down the field, I see Tall Steve, one of our family of penguins that are here, part of the fleet from Sky Safari at Longleat. That would be Andrew Holly. Shout out to my my dear UK niece Roma. If you're watching, Roma, good morning. There's the Yesterday balloon, the Mike and Betty Bowens.
As viewed from our balloon cam balloon.
Viewed from the balloon cam, yep. So if you if you were to straighten that music staff out, you would actually
kind
see
of at the end of the phrase there, because that treble clef sign would be the start.
Would be the start. So yeah, if you stretched it out straight from that, you would actually be able to play
rotate it the other way, Mike.
Play the tune of Yesterday by Paul McCartney.
So we started to talk about the spaceship
I'm sorry,
or the
I
alien
distracted
saucer.
you
That's
there for a
okay.
moment.
He hadn't launched, so he's come back. So a new saucer balloon there with Darth Vader, or not Darth, Yoda.
Yoda.
More penguins. There was Arthur the...
There's Adelaide the koala, and that's the backside of Cymbaloo the lion, where you can see the brown with the long leat on it.
The balloon is, not the blonde there with the ponytail.
No. No, I do not know who the blonde is. Maybe I'd like to meet her, but I don't know who she is.
What a great shot we're getting there. There's Cork the puppy right there in the center. I see Hearts of Fire over on the right-hand side, the Wonder Balloon.
I can see the Balloon Fiesta Live dating app coming soon.
Hey, I keep trying to sell my my other databases. Maybe that one would work.
Maybe that one will work. Yeah, there you go. So now, is this a balloon with the... I'm immediately thinking that's the Northern Lights?
Yes.
Is that what that is all supposed to represent?
I'm getting a little bit of a glare on the monitor here, which is interesting.
I saw it in real life, and then I was looking at it, and then looked down and realized it was on the monitor as well.
So we actually call it Northern Flights.
Northern Flights. Ah, okay. Nice play on words.
Yep. Cliff I'm not even going to try that, Cliff. I'm sorry. So,
also getting up at that end of the field is Wes the Wolf. That is another of the Sky Safari fleet. So we're beginning to see some of their menagerie get airborne. That would be Ashley Moore, who flies Wes the Wolf. They said hello the other night at the FAI Hall of Fame ceremony. They are here from Brightford, Devon, United Arab Emirates. They've come from a long distance away. I love the bright blue eyes of Wes the Wolf, if you're close enough to see those. This light is like, it's just between, it's almost bright enough for sunglasses, and then when I put the sunglasses on, it's almost too dark. I can't see some detail.
Need to get those transitions.
Yeah, I guess I do.
Yeah. There's the Taipei bear, the backside of the bear from Taipei. I think it's called, if I remember right, honey bear.
Spot the Wonder. There goes the Wonder balloon of Chris and Amanda Sabia. And it is white with the red and yellow and blue polka dots. And oh, now this is interesting. What's happening here, Art? You know more about things on the background. See the kids doing the coloring on the monitor there. Where is that?
I'm going to guess that is up at the Balloon Discovery Center.
Okay.
That's one of the tents up at the very far north end of the field. And it is an activity center that will help you with hands-on activities learn more about ballooning. And so obviously the ability to color as well, far north end.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to interrupt quickly to give a big shout out to my friend Terry Dillard.
Hey, there he is. The
Terry
flip-flop
is here in Flip-Flop Fantasies. Terry and his wife Deb have had a crazy journey getting here. They left Florida trying to get out of state ahead of Hurricane Ian, went all the way to Memphis, Tennessee. Ian took a turn and decided to hit close to their home, so they turned around, went back from Memphis all the way to Florida, rode out the storm, took care of their neighbors. Fortunately, their home suffered only some minor damage, so they loaded up the balloon truck, including an amplifier that they transported for me from Florida, and managed to get here to Fiesta. They're flying for the first time this morning. Terry, my friend, good to see you and Deb here. Glad you made it safely and weathered the storm in Flip-Flop Fantasies.
Great shot from the balloon cam just a second ago, looking back at all the balloons that are still inflating on the field. We probably have as many on the field as we have in the air.
Probably so.
And there was Cork the Puppy, and there it is from the balloon cam.
Yeah.
You know there is a Cork the Puppy RC balloon. And
I do know that.
It is gorgeous.
Yes.
It is gorgeous. I see the flying bus down in the middle as we get that balloon shot from our, and there's your Flip-Flop Fantasy still in there too.
I should actually do my research because the builder is a new advertiser in Ballooning Magazine.
Okay.
And he was offering a Fiesta special that if you bought and ordered a special shaped balloon, he would build an RC replica as part of the package. And I think the puppy is one of those deals that came to life. So that's kind of cool to see.
I got to see it in Colorado Springs. In fact, I took got my wife to take a picture of me with the balloons in the background, from the stage, and the Cork the Puppy was over there, and of course all the RC guys picked up on it because that was, I think, the first time they inflated that publicly.
Oh, okay.
For folks to see. I don't know that for sure, but
there is a longtime Fiesta favorite in the air. That is Hearts of Fire, the pink balloon with the two shades of hearts around it, and if memory serves, Pauline Baker and Malcolm White are flying that balloon this week.
You are
They
correct.
are here from the Republic of Ireland, and great friends of mine. They were very kind when I visited Ireland over in 2019. They took me on a little day tour of their flying area around Trim Castle, just really great people, and glad to have them back here at Balloon Fiesta flying Hearts of Fire. Behind them, of course, Tall Steve. That should be Andrew Holly in that balloon. And there goes the little VW bus. Here in front of us, the balloon with the preamble to the Constitution on it, the Stars and Stripes themed balloon. There's the two penguins, Puddles and Splash. They, of course, got together, as penguins sometimes do, and created Tall Steve. He's their little chick. There goes
they're not so little chick.
Not so little chick, yeah. There is Simbaloo, the lion from Longleat, we're looking at the VW bus on the air. There is Squawk.
Nope, that's Scarlet.
Oh, that's Scarlet. I'm sorry. And, yeah, a whole menagerie of balloons in the air now. I see the backside of Adelaide the Koala from Longleat as well. So Steve Lombardi getting his entire crew in the air. And speaking of critters in the sky, I just got a quick look at the Roadrunner and the Coyote. They're right here behind the Dos Equis bannered balloon and above Scarlet. Coming into view just a moment. There you go. You should see it, Art.
I see them there as well. Yep, great shot of the Dos Equis guys here waving at us.
Good morning.
As they fly right over the roof.
Did you bring us any Dos Equis? There's the Roadrunner Coyote going directly over our
Over
head
the top
now.
of us. Peter Cuneo is flying that today. Barbara Fricke, who actually built that balloon, flew it on Friday and Saturday. Peter's flying this morning.
Okay.
And that was one of the balloons that Sid had built way back in about 1973. You see it there. This side we're seeing the Roadrunner. The other side of the balloon has the Coyote, and it has the very large N numbers or registration numbers on it, as this was built as kind of a replica of what was there. There are some differences between the two, but that was a very famous balloon built by Sid and Raven Industries. They actually even managed to get the original N number, the registration number for that balloon.
Wow. Awesome.
So that was really nice.
Just airborne in the center of the field here, for those of you that are on the field watching, is Grandma's Legacy. That is Cameron Wall. This balloon we did a feature on some time back in Ballooning Journal. Cameron's grandmother is quite the artist, loves to paint undersea scenes, and Cameron took a number of her bits of artwork and then took them to, I believe Kubitschek built the balloon. They printed the artwork on white balloon fabric, matched all the panels, and then sewed together this absolutely beautiful balloon. It's called Grandma's Legacy, and that is all hand-painted artwork that you see on the side of the balloon there. Really a great, great story.
Kubitschek has done a great job of being able to actually print on fabric, as you just talked
Right.
about here. The fractal balloon, we saw it earlier on the screen, same thing.
Exactly.
With the design being built some other way and then printed on white balloon fabric.
Yeah, that design probably put together on a computer and
Right.
then printed onto white fabric and then
And
sewn
Kubitschek is who's
into-
doing it, yeah.
Yeah, Kubitschek is doing a great job with those types. Others can do it. I think Cameron balloons can do it, but Kubitschek has sort of been making a living out of doing those kinds of balloons here recently.
They have. Well, you know, we talked with the Board of Directors President Al Tetrault earlier this morning, and he talked about having, when he came onto the board, working and putting together an entire public safety model here at the park. And Ruth Lind is caught up with some of our Albuquerque Police Department folks, which is just one of the many organizations that make up our public safety group. Ruth.
It is just one, and it's the local one, and these guys do such a wonderful job with us all year. In fact, they're getting called to do their work right now. I hope I don't get anybody in trouble. But you guys are hanging out at the north end of the field. What's your role up here this morning?
At this point, we just are watching the overall field, monitoring for any lost children, lost adults, whatever it is, and just kind of helping out wherever we can.
Great. And you were saying that you guys do some training with the police department and for the academy?
Yes, we work for the reality-based training center, where we put officers through scenarios to see what they would do in a real-world performance. So we're just out here helping out with the Balloon Fiesta.
Like what kind of a real-world scenario?
There's a lot of domestic interactions between people. We do that. We get officers recognizing threats, and they can apply that to the real world.
So you were telling me earlier another reason that you're out here.
We're out here to see the officers that we train, I guess if you will, kind of check their work, to watch their work, make sure that they're doing everything that we've taught them to do. So yeah, we're out here having a good time working with them and enjoying the balloons. So
That's wonderful. And I guess this event, being as huge as it is, probably provides a good training opportunity for everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like Officer Ryan said, it's just an opportunity for us to come out here and just enjoy being with the officers that we've trained. And you know, if they have questions, we can address those. We can also identify things that we might want to train in the future. like Officer Martinez said, it's important to understand what officers are dealing with out here and to incorporate that into our training.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for your service. Thank you for your work.
Thank you for having us.
And you make us feel a lot safer.
Thank you so much.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, Ruth. Thanks to the men and women that are working not only with APD, but the New Mexico State Police, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department. Let's see. I think I don't even want to. I shouldn't start down this list.
I was going to say start naming
because there are
names and
30
forget
or
somebody.
40 agencies that all work together to make this the safe event that it is.
There's the screwdriver. Well, there's the bus on our screen. The little
From our balloon cam.
Yeah, there's the
And there's the
screwdriver
screwdriver.
that everyone yesterday was wondering, what is that hanging down from the basket? Well, it's actually the blade of the screwdriver. Yesterday it wasn't very quick to inflate and take its shape, so it looked a little crazy. Somebody asked if it was a rope hanging below the basket, but it's actually meant to be the blade of the screwdriver. We still didn't figure out how they inflate that, if it's if they've got some kind of an onboard fan on the
I bet they've got to have something.
Got to have something.
They
'cause
got to
it was-
have something. It just
it was air that was
inflates
blowing
too
downward
nicely.
into so it's got to be something. Toby Brown, airborne in the Cheetah balloon. That is Duma, D-U-M-A. That's just launched on the very far north end of the field. Duma, by the way, is the Swahili word for cheetah, and I point that out only to impress Louise Moore, who is one of our team from Exclusive Balloons, Andrew Holly's personnel, and just saw that she was watching, and so I thought I would toss that out there just so that she knows I'm on the ball here. There's Beelzebub, also getting airborne.
And a great shot inside a balloon being inflated there. We just saw a minute ago some people getting their picture taken, standing right there with the fan blowing, and of course the hair is blowing everywhere.
Yes.
So yeah.
Do they have the halo light behind the hair, to give it that accent?
Not quite. No, they missed that. At least from our angle, yeah. So
yesterday,
getting great
all
shots
my
from our
troubles.
balloon cam balloon this morning. I'm loving these shots from the air. The Remax balloon, and there's, of course, as you mentioned, Betty's. What's the actual name of the balloon?
I don't know the actual name of the balloon. Now that you come to think of it,
Betty's baby. It's Betty's Grand. Let me.
Betty's Baby Grand. Is that it?
Yes, Betty's Baby Grand.
Okay, but the song is Yesterday.
Yes, yesterday. Yeah.
There's a depiction of the Wizard. That was, Frank Prell had a balloon called the Wizard for years.
We talked about, Mike Bowen's flying that.
Yeah.
This is Mike's 44th year here.
Is it really?
That's what my information says.
Wow.
There's Alfred the Carpenter, one of our new shapes.
I'm guessing he's an international. He has that look about him that doesn't say American. It says has a very European look to him. There are several of the special shapes. The camera view now from down on the north end of the field, which is where that's Steggy laying on its side. The light sky blue Stegosaurus.
Mr. Globy. With the
Mr. Gobble, as I called him yesterday.
With the green Sherlock hat.
His evil cousin.
Looks like Yoda's still standing up down there.
Yeah, fly I might. Hasn't decided yet. And that is that a Swiss chalet, did you say yesterday, that we can see way off in the distance there? Yeah.
Yep. And I bet that's probably the big hug, the blue and yellow one that was laying down behind there as well.
The bear and the elephant that are having a hug.
And there's our Viking balloon.
They could have named the big hug Get a Room,
Could have. The Desert Flying Viking, Mark Heidemann, from right here in Albuquerque. It's his 30th year,
Golden
too.
Corral is online on our viewer, and they're getting airborne just to our left of the rooftop here.
Not quite 75 feet yet.
Well, but he's taking off, so there's an exception.
He's got to be getting up there, though.
Yep.
But Rex Jennings flying Golden Corral for us.
Okay. Mission Linen Supply, again, one of those long time. They've been with Fiesta at least as long as I have, 33 years, because I can recall announcing them in 1990 as my first year on the tower at the time. Their balloon is bright yellow with a kind of a blue and red starburst on the side. They provide, like all of the tablecloths and linens, the napkins and things that are used in our sponsor hospitality and places like that.
And I'm starting to see, I saw it on the screen here, I thought, wait a minute, that's a little special shape that's not supposed to be here. But it's a special shape RC balloon.
Because today is the day.
We're going to try and set that record with 85 or 83 or 80-some little special RC remote control balloons.
Mini-me's.
Mini-me's. And you can see right through there from here while we're looking on the screen. Down at Balloons Below from our balloon camp. There's Cork the puppy.
Cork the puppy, yep.
And there's the puppy dog
There's
with
the
the
puppy dog
fire
with the fire hat.
The
I can see
Dalmatian.
that,
Yep.
yeah.
So they are starting to inflate along row N. So if you're here on the field, if you want to get up close with the little the RC balloons. Not RV.
Yeah.
RC balloons, they're going to be along row N. And, that's a great way to find out about ballooning at just a nice, fun little way to do this. They fly the same way we do.
They're built the same way.
They
are literally just miniature
Yep.
mini-me's, little miniature hot air balloons. And the nice thing about it is, while you have to be a licensed pilot
There's
to fly.
a great shot of the Dalmatian with the hat.
While you have to be a licensed pilot to fly a hot air balloon, you don't have to have anything to do an RC balloon. They're just like, a lot of people are probably more familiar with RC airplanes.
Right.
Well, this is the same thing, but they're hot air balloons.
It's the same kind of controls if you look at it.
Exactly.
It's just firing a burner off, a little propane burner, versus a gasoline engine.
Exactly.
Or an electric engine.
But they're built the same way. They use the same, essentially the same styles of fabric.
Yep.
The balloons are constructed the same way. The baskets look like little bitty baby, hot air wicker balloon baskets. They're literally just little replicas.
Have you seen the mini ride balloon baskets?
I did. I saw that.
With the partitions and all of that other stuff in it. Yeah. It is pretty incredible how realistic is not really the right word, but how true to form of the big balloons they are.
Yeah, yeah. Looking down on it all, there's a great shot if you look toward the Sandias of Splash, the boy penguin, part of our penguin family, of Puddles, Splash, and Tall Steve.
Up close and personal with the upright in our balloon camera.
Yeah, got a nice upright cover there with the Mexican Zia on it.
Yeah, Hearts of Fire down below. Looks like they're getting over by the river, maybe.
I think I've told the story about getting a New Mexico State road sign that had the Zia on it once.
Yes.
I'm sure I've told you that story. Yeah.
There's Carousel, Frank Campanella.
The quick story is I was in the Boy Scouts at the time, and my mom and dad and I came to New Mexico on a vacation, and I loved the highway signs. They're black with the white circle and the red Zia in it, and then the highway number in the middle. And I wanted one of those signs. And when I got back home to Texas, I wrote a letter to the New Mexico State Department of Transportation, or whoever they were, and asked for one that had the number of our Boy Scout troop on it. And never really gave it a second thought. I didn't tell my dad I had done that. And one day I'm at school and a UPS truck pulls up to the driveway with a package and a bill for like $85 or something. and my dad paid it, rather unwillingly. And when I got home, I discovered that I had received my New Mexico State highway sign with my Boy Scout troop number on it, and Dad paid $85 for it. So I've always had a special place for the Zia in my heart because it's a great childhood memory of mine.
Did you ever pay your dad back?
I never did. Nah. I just figured, hey, Dad, it's a Christmas present, suck it up.
Okay. All right.
But I still have that, by the way.
Do you really?
I do. I've kept it all these years.
Smokey Bear. Beth Wright Smith putting Smokey Bear up for us, as well as the black balloon that's still cold inflating there. That would be Mike Voorhees. Both Beth and Mike on the Quad A Education Committee. And the local balloon club will be putting together a safety seminar for our pilots and crews that will take place on Tuesday afternoon. Oh, there we are. Yep. down there in the corner from the balloon camp. Where is he? Let's see. Well, there's Hearts of Fire. They're actually boxing back right over us. Look how many of the balloons are above us that we saw fly away, and now they are overhead or coming back this way. So they are definitely flying. There's actually a number of different directions in the box up there. I'm seeing people go west, south, east, of course, north. Yep, there's
a great view of Steggy. I'm back with you, by the way, just having some technical difficulties with the headset. So I was getting our director, Gary, to take a look at that, or listen. Yeah, Steggy. It looks kind of like a character from the Flintstones, you know?
Yep.
There's the Coyote and Roadrunner going past us again to our left. Now we can see.
Oh, yeah. That's the second time he's gone by. So,
that's
a little farther to the west this time. I mentioned this the other day in the test hours flights of that balloon. That's the only side any camera ever seemed to capture.
Oh yeah,
was the Coyote side.
Coyote, you never saw the Roadrunner?
It's like we kept trying to get a picture of the Roadrunner sign, and the balloon itself, it does not have turning vents. No matter where we took the picture, it was always the Coyote. And then yesterday or Friday, it was kind of like we couldn't get a picture of the Coyote. It was only the Roadrunner.
It was only the Roadrunner, yeah. It's funny how life works that way sometimes.
So today we've gotten an opportunity to see both sides. Lots and lots of balloons in the sky, and they just keep flying. Some have decided to go ahead and continue to try and get out to the northwest. They're not quite getting all the way out there.
Well, the box is straightened out a bit. It doesn't
has a little
have near as much of a diagonal direction as we had said earlier. Some of the westerly component to the box has kind of gone away.
I'm looking straight up, and there's 3 balloons. There's Pigosaurus, the blue one with the white storks on it, and Zarek Wells in the yellow. And the 3 of them at different altitudes, but they're all going different directions.
Yeah. There is Pat Fogue launching the IMTS balloon. That's the orange balloon out of the center of the field with the multicolored swashes on it, I guess you call it, swaths of color. Yellows, blues, greens, purples from IMTS. I can just make out, that's what used to be. I guess, is the balloon still called Twisted Gator?
Yes.
It was Bud Person's balloon. It's,
I think it's
yellow
still
and
that.
blue,
Let me double check.
It's orange and blue spiral. That was the first spiral pattern balloon that Aerostar balloons ever built. There was a time when if you wanted a spiral balloon, the only company that could build them was the Balloon Works out of Statesville, North Carolina. But eventually now everyone builds spirals. But that was the first one for Aerostar to build. They're right there beside the Tarp Head's balloon. Head is a balloon manufacturer out of the state of Georgia. Has his headquarters in Helen, Georgia. Beautiful little town that has its own unique balloon race, the Helen to the Atlantic balloon race, where the balloons launch and fly toward the Atlantic Ocean, the East Coast, and the first one to reach there or cross the main highway is declared the winner. And there have been some exciting stories of pilots competing in that event to win. Finally getting near the end.
Screwed Up Gator is now the name of it.
Screwed Up Gator.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. There is a similar one that has a pattern that has some yellow in it that is the Twisted Drifter.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. So,
right,
but
yeah.
the
so I got them.
yeah.
I can't.
That's where
hear
you got
him.
the two together.
But I'm not hearing the chatter anymore, so we're making progress. Again, sorry, we're working live on a headset issue for me. That is.
So yes, I'm sorry. We're about, as you said, we're getting towards the end of the second wave here. Oh well, is that? Yeah, we've got a couple of other balloons still laid out here. I think they're trying to figure out whether they should be doing something or not.
Well, I can see the I see the big hug. The big hug? What's the name of that? Is that the right name? The bear and the elephant.
Yes. But I'm even looking right here, the Zia balloon right in front of us. Well, now they're calling it Hug a Bear. Used to be the Big Hug. Now it's called Hug a Bear. And I see a couple of other balloons that have stretched out their envelopes. I think they're continuing to watch what's happening here. The breeze picking up just a little bit on the field again for us.
Well, it feels a bit like the breeze is picking up again.
That's what I just said.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
I know
because of the headset, I can't hear a lot
anymore.
of what you're saying.
Yeah,
so my
I
apologies.
understand. Yeah.
But so you may have already just said this. My suspicion is some of the pilots now are having second thoughts about do they want to fly and possibly have to land in windy conditions.
Right.
So we may be getting to a point where we're seeing some of the final launches. Interesting balloon to point out real quickly down at the far north end of the field. See the little hopper down there?
Yep.
The balloon, if you look underneath it, it's a balloon that's got yellow, red, green, and blue. Oh, it's on our monitor. There you go. I'm paying attention to what's on the field. Yeah, you notice there is no basket to that balloon. That style of balloon, little one-man, sometimes two-men, two-person rather balloons, are called cloud hoppers. And typically the pilot, there's a couple of different variations. Sometimes the pilot simply straps the propane tank onto his or her back, in a sort of, what's the word I'm searching for? Just a harness type
almost
operation.
A harness, yeah.
Sometimes there's a little swing seat type thing that you can sit on and fly. Some that are a little more elaborate have a structure that reminds me of, remember when I was a kid and you rode a Ferris wheel, you sat in this kind of bucket thing that they tilted up the floorboard in front of you. Some of the hoppers have a seat that's built something like that to give you a little bit of protection when you come in and land. But they're basically one or two person balloons, very small, and usually with no formal basket underneath. The pilot rather just sits in a harness or on a swing seat. Or a friend of mine in Austin, Texas, built one year where he literally rode a 20-gallon lay-down propane tank, not side saddle, but sat astride it like you would a saddle on a horse. Only a Texan would do something like that. But yeah, just anyway, wanted to point that out, a unique little type of balloon called the cloud hopper.
And I know that those guys that fly those, they're I think trying to start to differentiate the single seats being the cloud hopper, and if it's a dual seat that you were describing, now it's a chariot.
Yeah, well, we actually, when I was at Thunder and Colt back in the 1990s, we actually built what we called a duo chariot. And I likened it to taking the bucket seats out of a '65 Mustang and putting them under a balloon. Yeah, but they do kind of make that distinction. You're right. A cloud hopper typically is a one-man or one-person balloon, and if it's a two-seater, then it becomes a duo chariot.
There you go. So we've mentioned that today is one of our 3 RC remote control balloon days, and that they are setting up. We've pointed out a few of them along row N. We are hoping to be able to set up a number of them, more than 50. We have 80 some registered here. But Ruth Lind has managed to catch up with one of the pilots of one of those RC balloons. Ruth?
I have. I've caught up with Dick Rice, who was inflating and attempting to fly the Fiesta RC balloon, which is so adorable. Oh my goodness. Anyway, Dick is going to tell us a little bit about the record that they're trying to set here today.
All right. I believe it was the Brazilians who set a record with 51 RC balloons several months ago. And we are attempting on Wednesday to break that record. We have 82 RC balloons registered for this Fiesta this year. Wow. And we are attempting to break the 51 RC record. And I think we're going to be able to do that, assuming we don't get these winds that are preventing the little balloons don't do wind well. But here we are, and that's what we're trying to accomplish on Wednesday. Today we were just going to fun fly and show everybody what RC balloons looked like. as Ruth told you, they're really cool, okay? I used to fly big balloons. In fact, I flew the Fiesta balloon, and so I got a replica of the big balloon for the RC balloon, okay?
Now I want to step away from little balloons just for a minute and show off your jacket. This is from 1983. And you were the president, so give us a little.
in 1983.
Give us a little turn and show us the back.
Okay, I will. Let me get it pulled down so you can see it. And I'll turn around. Okay.
Okay, you can turn back around.
Thought I'd do a little retro this year. And on Friday at registration, I wore the 9th annual balloon jacket. And Saturday, I wore the 10th annual. This is the 11th annual Balloon Fiesta jacket. And tomorrow, I'll wear whatever is next after 11 or 12 or whatever I said.
That sounds wonderful.
Okay.
Well, Dick, thank you so much for talking to us today, and we'll look forward. Everybody keep your fingers, toes, and tails crossed.
Yes, indeed.
For a calm morning on Wednesday to set this record. Glen, Art, are you crossing your fingers?
We are. We have them crossed. I think Glen's even crossing his toes. But we'll have to wait and see what happens on that as we move along.
I resemble that remark.
There you go. So we continue to have balloons inflating on the field. We have a couple that have decided not to fly this morning, probably due to some of the conditions, but we have the majority of our balloons in the sky. The box pattern continues to work. The screwdriver's coming back down right over the west edge of the field. Get a better look at the blade. Looks like, now that it's close enough, it looks like it's a Phillips screwdriver.
You know, I never looked. Where is he?
He's right up to your left. He's going to be right behind the pole off.
Oh,
the side
okay.
here.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think you're right. I never really looked at the end of the blade. They never really were that close.
No, this is the closest he's gotten to us.
Yeah, it's not a flat. You're right. It is a Phillips screwdriver. Interesting. I was just having a conversation with our...
And he's turning, so he's...
Yeah. Just having an offline conversation with our dear friend, Dr. Tom McConnell. And right here in front of us, for those of you here at Sponsor Hospitality and at the Exxon Mobil tent, his family is getting out the New Mexico Zia balloon. We talked about today as a day for the RC balloons, the mini-me's. Well, in fact, they have permission from the Balloon Meister and their staff to hopefully they're going to inflate the Zia balloon right here in front of us, and then they're going to stand up the mini-me, the little RC Zia, side by side.
And we continue to get pictures from our balloon cam as well up in the We Go balloon, sponsored by Bubba's 33, Food for All. And so you can see balloons in different states of inflation, standing up, cold, packed, etc.
And we can begin to see, I'm sure you probably have talked about this, we've been offline trying to fix my headsets. I can see more of the RC balloons down on the far north end of the field, the red, white, and blue striped one.
Right, straight in front of us,
The bright pink one right beside them. I think, as Dr. Tom was saying, wind is really a factor for the little RC balloons, and that may interrupt our intention to try to get the 80-odd number of them stood up today. I don't know.
So while they were fixing that, Dick Rice was telling Ruth that the idea behind the RCs, they've decided today, is more of a fun fly type of deal.
Oh, okay.
And they will attempt the record on Wednesday when they are scheduled.
Right.
So we've shifted the record attempt.
Okay, sorry,
yeah.
I missed that because, again, I've been,
working on other things.
My headset.
Totally understand. There is the balloon with our balloon cam in it. So a shot from the ground. Certainly appreciate
from that shot.
And then here it is from the balloon looking back at us.
I was going to say, from that shot passing the fence, it looked almost like they were in prison.
It's coming right down the west side. I see him off.
Oh yeah, I see him out there on the west side, over on that big row of American flags out there.
Yeah. Really appreciate Ron and his sponsor Bubba's for taking our camera up today.
Absolutely, bringing us some great shots from.
You know, Bubba's actually did kind of a welcome to Fiesta pilot appreciation deal at their restaurant on, I want to say, Thursday and Friday night ahead of time.
I did not know that.
So they have been inviting pilots to come by Bubba's, even putting together a little goodie pack for them. So.
Oh, how cool!
That is cool. They have I think they were a brand new sponsor last year, and they have jumped into this whole family, this whole idea of the ballooning community big time.
We have said all along how our audience comes to our rescue.
Yep.
Sabrina. It says Sabrina I'm not sure if that's her full name or not, but anyway, says, yes, the screwdriver has a little extra fan on board to fill the blade with cold air.
There you go.
So there's the answer to that mystery. Thank you, Sabrina, for filling us in on that. We suspected it, but now we have confirmed it.
Confirmation. Good deal.
Once again, our audience comes to our rescue.
A nice collective we have.
Somebody from Bavaria, Germany is watching. I'm just trying to catch up on our Facebook feed here, looking at some of the comments.
Yeah.
With people who are checking in from both around the U.S. and around the world. There's North Dakota. Several people commenting how much they're liking the dinosaur. By that, I think they mean Steggy.
Steggy. Hey, Patricia, I'm glad you got here. Sorry you missed the whole first part. She's watching on YouTube. Balloon Fiesta Live is on YouTube, on Facebook. You can see the YouTube feed through balloonfiesta.com. We are also on Community Access, Channel 27. We are on low power over-the-air TV 28 around the park here. And all of our shows, not only from this year, but from our previous 5 years of show, are all archived and available online at balloonfiesta.com. Just look for the Balloon Fiesta Live web page under this year. We're starting to get to the end of this morning. So let's just
sure are.
We sure are, yeah. And so let's go ahead and kind of give you an update on what's happening here the rest of the day and the rest of the week. We did not get our America's Challenge gas balloon event off yesterday. So they have a briefing coming up today at 3 o'clock. That's an update. The briefing is now at 3 o'clock today to see if we'll be able to launch our gas balloons tonight. In addition to that, we have scheduled tonight a jump by our fast track skydiving team with their humongous United States flags. They will jump at 5 o'clock and again at 7:30 with their pyrotechnics. The team of fast tracks and their jumps this evening, as they are all week, sponsored by the city of Las Vegas. And so we appreciate that. We'll have those happen again at 5 tonight. We will record that and play it back on the stream. Those of you on the field will be able to see it live at 5 o'clock. We'll be live on our stream at 6 o'clock, and we have our balloon glow scheduled for tonight. Also, after the balloon glow tonight, we will have our brand new, no longer top secret, aerial drone show. If you have not seen this yet, you're going to want to see that. It's at 7:45 tonight. We will put it on our show as part of the evening. And we will have our Afterglow fireworks tonight at 8 o'clock as well. So a full evening of activities yet today here. In fact, starting shortly, as soon as we get the field cleared, it's the Fiesta of Wheels car show, and it's also pin trading day. I think today's still pin trading day.
Is that today?
Or was it yesterday? I think it's today. Let me double check.
While you're looking that up, the McConnell family getting, they have the Zia balloon stretched out. They now have taken out the mini-me, the little Zia.
It is pin trading day.
It is pin trading day today.
So the Fiesta Wheel of Cars car show should be starting shortly out there. Don't forget chainsaw carving happening all the way out there. Pin trading starts at 11 o'clock today.
So I guess that means if we go down on the field, we should probably have some of our pins in our pockets.
Well, it takes place in the group tours tent out there in the northeast corner of the field.
Okay.
So it's a very organized deal, but yes, take some pins, and there's all kinds of ways to trade all kinds of different pins out there.
If that's at 11 o'clock, I'll be tied up with the BFA meeting at 11 o'clock over in the SID, as it's now being called. I picked up on that.
Yeah.
Rather than calling it the Sid Cutter Pavilion, it's just referred to as the SID.
There you go. Tomorrow starts competition. Half the balloons fly from the field, fly away for fun. The other half fly in.
Right.
Same thing on Tuesday. Wednesday, we're back to a mass ascension and the Flight of Nations. Thursday, we're back to two-a-days with Special Shapes Rodeo in the morning, Glow-to-You in the evening, as well as competition. Thursday and Friday, we also put poles up. Pilots have rings, try and ring the pole.
Yeah, lots
win
of
big
money to give away, lots of fun.
And then Saturday, we're back to a mass ascension in the morning.
Midday, you and I host the award ceremony and crown a new champion. We'll find out if Zarek Wells is able to defend his title as the 2021 Balloon Fiesta champion.
If he defends that and does a repeat.
If he's able to repeat.
And then a farewell mass ascension Sunday morning.
On Sunday morning. And suddenly the 50th is, as Al said earlier this morning, in the books.
It's coming quickly and
hard to believe.
Yes.
That it's, it gets here. It takes so long to get here, and it passes so quickly. So they are beginning to inflate the Zia balloon. Tom McConnell down there and his team, and then it's Dr. Tom's granddaughter who is the pilot of the Mini-Me. Yeah.
Well, we will watch that here on the field. Unfortunately, we are going to say goodbye to our online audience.
Okay.
And we will be back tonight at 6 o'clock. So, for Glen Moyer, I'm Art Lloyd Jr. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tonight right here on Balloon Fiesta Live.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
You've been watching Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by ExxonMobil. Want more balloon action? Visit the archive of all the Balloon Fiesta Live broadcasts at balloonfiesta.com. And make plans to join us in person for number 51, October 7th through the 15th, 2023. Thanks for watching Balloon Fiesta Live. This program is a production of AIBF Inc.